Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, let me tell you where we are. Broad Ripple Avenue at the Union Jack Pub, a staple for many, many years here in Broad Ripple, and that is our location today. I've got to give a shout-out to the staff right now, scrambling with some situations, doing a great job. And also I want to give everybody a heads up. If you're watching via the AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live, Caleb, I don't know what you can do until they get me fired up right here, but make sure that the voice gets to the folks, and then we'll put my incredibly handsome, chiseled features to great use inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. That is coming up in just a minute, but you're going to ask while we're here. Okay, Michelob Ultra brings us to you. That's our friendship stronger than ever with the fellas, the ladies, the group from Zinc. They are here. We have stuff to give away. Now, I'm going to tell you about hats and scarves that we will give away, certainly, in our kicking game we have here today. But I guess from what I have heard, we have a Lionel Messi bobblehead to give away, and some other factors as to the reason why we want you here with us. First of all, it's a glorious Thursday out here. We're on the deck outside. You've got the World Cup, which is going to fire up, I believe, here coming up at 4 o'clock, and endless content. A year ago, the content was still, oh, woe was us. Tyrese Halliburton was injured, and our lives were screwed. Endless content. But now we kind of dive into it. And I understand how a lot of you folks get a little bit tired of it. I do. In terms of the fever and their situation. That is why I try to be as balanced as humanly possible and as basketball-related as humanly possible. You have noticed for now a couple of years, especially in socials, you get folks that are going to take off and they are going to run with stories that are absolutely dumbass ridiculous. And they're going to take off and they're going to run with it. We don't do that here. We just talk about the effect of the basketball team and why the elite level player and this team, which expectations-wise at the top of the list of challenging for a title, are where they are right now on the season at 10-8. Why are they here? And we also talk about, in terms of the effect in basketball play, just how big of an absolute clown show the WNBA is. And that starts at the top with, what's her name, Kathy Engelbert. She's awful. The whole thing is awful. They can't get out of their own way. And I'm not going to sit here and advocate Caitlin Clark getting calls and getting called with a different whistle than everybody else. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. But what I am going to sit here and tell you, for goodness sake, can you at least call the game? Can you at least do a little bit of something with that in mind? Last night, much like on Monday night was a fun-loving soap opera. Last night was a travesty. And Monday night played a role into last night. As you know that I mentioned on Tuesday, the late elbow that was deliberate from Alana Thomas. I mean, she had reason behind that. She wanted to make contact with the grill of Caitlin Clark. Nothing came out of that. And then you fast forward. I mentioned it was so late in the game and the fever were up, you should just go ahead and bail on it. You should go ahead and punt her out of the game. Like in the NBA, as bad as those officials can be, they are 1,000 times better than these clowns. I guess you have to soak it up and get used to it. But on the other hand, I think what you need at the very least is the minimum. You don't even get the minimum with this group. You don't get the minimum with this bunch. Last night was another great example. How in the world does that happen? Granted, the Fever aren't playing well, and in fact, the Fever aren't very good. The Fever need to make a deal. The Fever don't have what it takes because now they have lost, 4 games where they've scored over 100 points? That is not the right personnel. There is so much on them. So this is not solely to blame for the officiating, but last night and then going back to Monday, if you're not going to be better than that, I think you need to have these ladies just go ahead and self-call fouls and self-call the game because that was awful. And last night was an absolute joke. That was a fist to the throat. Can you imagine if they go back and watch that in an NBA game and Scott Foster or Tony Brothers is doing that? See ya. It's over. They're getting bounced. But instead last night, it's all good. And Stephanie White did exactly what Stephanie White should do and came out afterwards and just ripped the WNBA. Unfortunately for me, that's kind of how I feel it is. I just think they're that bad in general, and I don't think there's much of a chance for them to get any better. That's just what they have right now. And it is an absolute travesty from top to bottom. And it has nothing to do with the Fever being disappointing or with, the fanboys' favorite player and Caitlin Clark not getting hers. I'm talking about that in basketball terms. They are not good. That's on them. They need to be better. That's on them. From coach on down. And really, organizationally speaking, you're at 10-8 right now. You don't have the right team members. You don't have the right personnel. So some heavy evaluation and see what you can do to make up for that the rest of the way because you do not have right now what it takes. However, the WNBA has been so egregious in how they've handled everything. You can't trust them. You can't trust that they're ever going to get this right. And I don't even think they're going to get it right when this little pipe dream that has all happened, this whole Caitlin Clark influence that's happened in the last 3 years, I don't even think they're going to recognize that until that's long gone. And I don't think it's sad. It's ridiculous. I mean, somebody has to grab somebody and say, hey, we've got to get a little bit of cohesion because, honestly, we're saying the same thing about the team. I'm saying the same thing about the team that I'm saying about the WNBA in general. It is not nearly good enough right now. One's just a lot worse than the other. And the WNBA and the officials are a lot worse than what you're going to see from the product, even of a 10-8 team. But there are problems everywhere. And unfortunately, what happens is these issues, when they're brought out, because we're at a time of year when there's not a lot going on, when the national shows or the footprint and socials nationally, they get out and they take off and run with stuff that's not basketball related. But we're savvy enough to understand that from a basketball angle, this team is just not good. And this team has to be better. That team that beat you last night, 111-109, even without the play for a lot of the second half of Caitlin Clark, is 6-13 of the season. That shouldn't happen. Not good enough. Not good enough whatsoever. And you're going to see these same two teams coming up here in a number of days? When is it? Next Thursday, in fact, these same two teams in Phoenix. I would doubt if the WNBA, they have any answers, and you can shake your fist and you can pound the table and you can be pissed off as much as you can be pissed off, but it's not going to do a damn bit of good. It's kind of like what you ask for oftentimes in terms of leadership. There's not going to be a significant change in anything until leadership changes. And this ain't it. This ain't it on the WNBA level. This is going to remain to be seen regarding Stephanie White. Stephanie White is not all a part of the problem, as some would assume, but she's the head coach of a team that is widely disappointing right now. So the coach, in these circumstances, that's the way that it is. If you want to play with the big professional leagues out there, that's how you're going to be analyzed. That's how you're going to be evaluated. And if you're not good enough and you don't live up to expectations, then that's problematic on you. But I do understand that this is not at all her fault. And somebody better get to work and find some personnel that at the very least acts as if they want to play a little bit of defense. I mean, at the very least, as I mentioned yesterday, get in the stance. Like, get down in the stance. Maybe one step left, one step right, something, anything. anything that would provide just the least amount of resistance, which you simply put have not done. So you saw that one coming last night. Alana Thomas just got a license to act like that. And that goes all the way back to Monday. And people said, well, wait a minute. The elbow didn't make contact. I don't give a crap if the elbow didn't make contact. It was a non-basketball related play. And that's what all forms of basketball is trying to get rid of. The non-basketball related bullcrap. You have to get rid of that. And you just let that slide on Monday night and then start handing out technicals to everybody. And then what you don't do, and this is what makes officials and leagues like this the worst, you don't adjust it. You go from handing out technicals at the end of that game on Monday night to basically hiding under a rock, staying quiet last night. It was incredible. And I will say this. You look at the officials, and this is not from me, but there are officials that have been officiating basketball that I trust and enjoy a great deal around here. And I hear all the time from them about how bad this is. And that's their profession. That's what they do and how bad this is. So, just like anything else, if you're the WNBA and you clearly are they're letting down everything. It is the only reason you're getting talked about, and everybody always says, well, it's good to have all the hype and the conversation. It's good to stir it up. This is not good to stir up because this makes your league, this makes everything you're doing look like a circus. It looks like a clown show. That's more of a turnoff than anything else. All that does, that gets off those that just get off on wanting to see chaos. I don't want to see chaos. I want to be able to believe in a basketball product that's worthy of my attention. Good luck. A lot of you are paying a lot more money for these seats, a lot more money in disposable income to do what you do and follow the Indiana Fever, a lot more in advertising to follow them. You need to expect more. And before you say, well, wait a minute, where's this voice been? I say that how long about the Colts? The same damn thing about the Colts. You can't keep yapping for the last 10 years plus about how you're going to be this and you're going to do that and never do jack squat. Never do anything. Because you do have people. You have fans that pay the price of admission. You have fans that spend their money on your product, whatever it might be. You have advertisers that spend their money on your product. So this is nothing new for me. At some point, you have to deliver. But in the case of the Fever as well, it's the WNBA. It's their league that has yet to deliver. I just want to be entertained. Think about what I said on Tuesday. I was entertained more about the soap opera on Monday night. More about that than I was about the basketball. I mean, all this has to come together. You are driving and feeding the beast right now that, frankly, you've tried to fight off. You've tried to dispel now for a number of years. And you're doing your league, you're doing your fan base, you're doing everybody a disservice. And at some point, people are probably tuning out right now. I don't want to hear this crap anymore. I'm sick and tired of you talking about it. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, so I'm going to sit here at Union Jack Pub, and I'm going to drink Michelob Ultra, and I'm going to give away some stuff, and we're going to talk other stuff as well. That is something I think we all needed to hear. At least I needed to say it. It's just something I've led you down the path for now for a number of weeks. And you know me, I don't want any of that other crap. I just want to be given a reason to watch some basketball. And there are not a lot of circumstances in that league that are giving me reason to want to, I have to get out a map and a TV guide from 1987 to find out where the hell you play half the time. You're lucky for 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan because you're easily found there. So you're not doing anybody a service, and you're certainly not doing yourself a service right now. So something's going to have to change. And this isn't a broad scope, not just with the WNBA, but also with the Fever, because this record at 10-8 with this team so far and the expectations, nope, doesn't make it. It gets people gassed. It gets people traded. It gets personnel changed. All of that, because this is massively disappointing. If you truly are playing for a championship and you truly want to be the best in your sport. Now, if your plan is just to be a stinking sideshow, then job well done. But I would think that they and you would want more than just that. We can discuss it with you, 317-239-1070 if you so desire. Union Jack Pub with Michelob Ultra. World Cup matches coming up a little bit later on today. The Americans are in action. The Americans versus Turkey, or whatever the new pronunciation of Turkey might be. Hell, I don't know. Later on tonight, in one of those circumstances where, hey, it's all good. Unless somebody gets injured, whatever happens, your toes are still. I wouldn't want to see them go out there and get blanked and look terrible. Look like we just went out there and started playing. I don't want them to look like that. But no, this has been fantastic so far. And our friends from Zinc are offering up great stuff. I'll explain that coming up a little bit later on. A shout-out to Braden Smith. How about the moment for Braden Smith last night up at Crafters in Carmel? Shout-out to Braden Smith, to Matt Painter, to all the Boilermaker fans out there, and most notably to the Pacers, who decided to trade when he was drafted by the Bulls and bring in Braden Smith for a variety of reasons. I will get to that with the Pacer general manager, Chad Buchanan, coming up here at the bottom of the hour. The reasons behind it, what they saw, what they like, and some of those reasons just beyond the play, the other benefits for a team that you're looking at Braden Smith. And listen, you like to wave the magic wand, and this guy's going to be really good and NBA ready right now. But the case is this Pacer team has to be good and elite level ready right now. So I'm not so much worried about Braden Smith. The evolution of Braden Smith can happen on its own time. That's great. But this team, they have to go from Clark Kent, find themselves a phone booth someplace, jump into it, and come back out as Superman. Because the next 2 years are going to tell the tale of the tape. From start to finish, the next 2 years. It is going to be a book that I could get down with in 1984, a very short story of how a team had a gap year and all of a sudden took over and marched to an Eastern Conference Finals or got back to an NBA Finals. And sorry if I'm laying this level way too high. That's where it should be. Just like with the Fever. Just like with the Fever. Hey, go back to the Colts for a minute. They tell us every single year what they're going to do. They don't live up to it. At some point, you have to live up to it. Now, that's a different story altogether. That's a story I don't want to read. It takes about 9 years, just like War and Peace of losing and mediocrity. I don't want to read that. But I am excited to read what the Pacers could do in the next 2 years. But I was also very excited to see them show a great deal of belief and confidence in a local product. I sit around here all the time and do what? I talk about local products. And I'm not going to ask IU fans to all of a sudden get excited. I'm not going to ask Purdue fans to all of a sudden get excited when IU wins the National Football Championship. Frankly, you guys should hate one another. I don't give a crap. I here, sitting, love the fact when you get local flavor that gets an opportunity like that. And again, my love for basketball is right there among absolutely anybody. My love for basketball is as high as anything. And I know good basketball when I see it. I feel that. And I love it when our local players are able to do something like this. So a shout out to Braden Smith, the all-time leading assist man in college basketball history. The celebration last night looked awesome. And we'll talk to Chad Buchanan about that selection and other related material with the Pacer general manager, who's going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour as well. Hey, Ryan Conwell, I mentioned this to Jake a little bit earlier. Ryan Conwell of Pike High School and most notably of Indiana State University. Ryan Conwell had a celebration last night when he was selected in the second round of the NBA draft. Now in Miami, but that was awesome too. It is just so glorious to see school, friends, family members, and the emotion that comes together. And a shout-out to Ryan Conwell, of whom, if anybody knows him, I've had him on before, but I want to get him back on. I thought, in particular, that was one of those moments that made me proud. I love that because he got emotional as hell. This wasn't just your average Wednesday for a hooper that plays nonstop all the time and that has been all over the place playing high-level basketball. Again, that made the moment special. Felt the same way about Brooks Barnheiser a year ago. Felt the same way, for example, about the guys that got signed to those two-way deals or the Exhibit 10 deals, if you will. Robbie Avila, formerly of Indiana State with the Lakers. Lamar Wilkerson, I believe, got one as well. Trey Kaufman-Wren got drafted at the end of round number 2. That is all good stuff. And again, for IU fans, I'm not asking you to all of a sudden become a Purdue fan, just like I didn't ask Purdue fans all of a sudden to be an IU fan when they were marching to a national title. But it is cool when good things happen to good people around here. It is cool when teams go above and beyond, or at least deliver to the expectations. Braden Smith has gone above and beyond and then also delivered. It is cool to see him land in his hometown, the former Westfield product. And Chad Buchanan is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. We shall discuss that. Mike Chappell, CBS 4 and Fox 59. That is in the 4 o'clock hour. And Tom Crean, the former IU coach, is going to join us. Tom was a part of the NBA draft coverage on SiriusXM. I'm going to get his thoughts on a variety of things. The transition that he feels can be made by Braden Smith and the look of the Pacers coming up here in the offseason, what they have to do to get better. And then we had a massive deal today. LaMelo Ball goes from Charlotte to Minnesota, which makes me never, ever again want to watch a Minnesota Timberwolves game, because if there's something I loathe more than anything in basketball, it is watching a game where there is LaMelo Ball participation. Those games normally suck. I don't know. I guess, hey, Anthony Edwards, we're going to throw you in this guy who's either injured or taking the worst shots of all time. Hey, we're a contender now. And I get it. You know, San Antonio with Minnesota, Anthony Edwards was surrounded by a lot of guards with San Antonio, and that was problematic. And San Antonio went out and did to the T-Wolves, to a degree, what was reactionary for Minnesota and what led them down this path. Twofold here. One, they wanted to get more of a guard scoring pop. And they wanted the ball to be out of Anthony Edwards' hands a little bit with somebody they feel can score. Gut shots in the house right here, which is outstanding. But what they also wanted to do, they're trying to show to Anthony Edwards, hey, we're in it for the long haul at a championship level. We want to win. This is what we're doing for you. I'm just not a big fan of LaMelo Ball. Don't ask me about that, because I think that's the worst deal of all time. Naz Reid going to Charlotte. Now, in fact, I don't know what the hell Charlotte's doing either. Waiting 44 games a year ago. Everybody got all excited. And in true Charlotte fashion, they trade everybody's ass the year after that. So well done. We'll talk about that, too. And the NBA offseason at 239-1070. So, Dev, are we all up and operational right here? AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live is all here. Dev's the on-site engineer. Man, Kev come hell-bent in here, man, in the van like crazy. The wheels were on fire. A shout-out to our guy Cam, who was the MVP and saved the day, and Britt a little bit earlier, too. We're here with Michelob Ultra. I've got your chance to win a lot of stuff, and all you got to do is come by and play the game and join us here live, and we have a busy schedule. Tom Crean, 5 o'clock hour. Mike Chappell, 4 o'clock hour. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, a press conference a little bit earlier. You will definitely want to hear when he joins me live from Pacer General Manager Chad Buchanan. That is scheduled to come up next. Union Jack Pub. We are in Broad Ripple today. We're on the deck. It is glorious. My advice is to kick off work early. Join me for an ice-cold Michelob Ultra, and maybe you can win big with Zinc, Michelob Ultra, and the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. The stream, the app, HD Radio as well on this Thursday in Broad Ripple at the Union Jack Pub. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, it's Johnny for Andy Moore Buick GMC. That's 131st, State Road 37 in Fishers. Everybody, hello. I'm looking for a new ride for you. A new ride stat. How about the hottest manufacturer on the market right now? Do you know what it is? Buick. Buick back in the day used to be known for an old man's car, like Gutshot Greg. I'm going to roll up and he's 105 years old, and I'm going to buy that. But no, not anymore. Now it's a young man's ride, like me, sitting across from Gutshot Greg. And the Buick Enclave, the absolute best in a variety of styles. Great prices, too. You're going to be able to celebrate the prices, the inventory, and the service after the sale just in time with your purchase with my friend Eric Wilson to get on the road for your summertime vacation destination. They're going to get you started right here and right now. One-stop, hassle-free shopping at Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV. .93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Shout out right there to one of the greatest films of all time, 1980s Hollywood Nights. Dev's the engineer. When Gutshot makes an appearance, we know that the show is spectacular in Broad Ripple, Union Jack Pub with Michelob Ultra. And we've got World Cup about ready to get underway with the Americans coming up later on tonight. That is a late nighter. And this, the Union Jack, obviously, is your place for the World Cup, no matter what country your allegiance may be. It is right here in Broad Ripple at the Union Jack Pub with Michelob Ultra. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he says he's been busy. I'm skeptical because I think they just let Ted Wu do everything over there, and these guys just sit back and hang out. He's the general manager of the Pacers, Chad Buchanan, who joins us now. You just letting Ted do everything over there now? Is that what you're doing?
100%. We are smart in the sense that we figure out who's the smartest guy in the room, and we just listen to him.
Hey, where's my Exhibit 10? I didn't see that in my email inbox. You guys not send it? What the hell? I was waiting on it.
We must have the wrong address, and it's not Exhibit 10. It's an Exhibit 47.
Is it? Well, I was close. That's why I was looking for the wrong thing. I was looking for the wrong thing. Hey, before I get to your draft selection or your trade for the draft selection and Braden Smith, I'm kind of curious. How are you guys utilize? How was that utilized? The Exhibit 47? In what fashion is which? And what are the advantages, I guess, Chad, of that for those that may not know?
Exhibit 47 is we don't require a guy to play any defense. They don't have to run up and down the floor. They stand in one spot the entire game, and they just catch and shoot. That's all we need. Can you do that?
Wow. Man, come on now. I could do that right now, right here and right now. No, it's last night was pretty compelling. It was. Had Braden Smith, because we know that he had, because I think of a nagging slight injury, had canceled the initial workout with you guys, postponed it, I guess, in this case, and then came back and then worked out shortly thereafter. Had he been a focus of you in the front office for a while in terms of somebody you wanted to bring in after you found out exactly what was going on, especially on Mother's Day? But when did that, I guess, become a focus for you? Had it been a while?
I mean, our scouting staff, they're working year-round watching players, and I'm watching him. Obviously, he had a long, successful college career, so we saw him a lot. He's a local guy, so had a little more, chance to watch him play even before he got to Purdue. And always, from day one, there was always a great admiration for, what he's made of and the qualities that he exhibits. And then the production that he showed at Purdue was, unlike has probably ever been seen from a college point guard in a lot of ways. So I think our admiration, respect grew with every year. And, every time you watch him, he does so many things that impact winning. And those are the things that, we look for in a player, regardless if his jersey says Purdue or it says Providence or it says TCU. I think the story of the day, he's a local guy, is, part of it, I get that. But, our job is to bring in players that fit, our culture and our ecosystem. And he has a lot of the qualities that we look for, regardless of where he's from or which college he played for.
It's Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So what do you see in him? And you've known him for a long time, and obviously you separate those personal feelings from knowing him to the professional feelings of seeing him and, what he does really well right now, what you believe in that he can evolve into, upgrade in his overall game at the professional level. What do you see in him, and then ultimately what is your vision of him, Chad?
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of winning qualities in Braden. I see a guy who's extremely competitive, number one, at his core. He's very focused on winning. I think that is the primary thing that when he steps on the floor is most important to him. He's a guy who is a leader, who makes other people around him better. He makes the game easier for his teammates, and he's a fighter. That's the guys that, when he knows he's small, he knows he's got to overcome that when he steps onto the court. He's going to fight you, and that is a quality that is very admirable in a lot of ways. And I've seen that from the very beginning when I first saw him play. And that was the first thing that stood out was just like, okay, he walks out on the court, and you can tell he's usually the smallest kid on the court. But when you walk away from the gym that night, you're like, he was the most productive guy, and he had the biggest impact on that game every single night I saw him, which is really a rare quality to have because guys are going to have good nights and bad nights, but the competitive juices that he brings is just really, really high level. And I have a lot of admiration for that, as did our entire scouting staff and our management group. And, I think it's easy to ask me what I liked in him, but, this was a group decision. We had a lot of people really with a lot of fans in our building of what he's about, and excited to have him with us.
So Chad Buchanan, the Pacers general manager on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I admire it because clearly for 4 years he was an elite-level leader, and you guys presently have the elite of the elite-level leaders on your team in Tyrese Halliburton, which begs the question here. You can be incredibly eye-popping athletically, but you do want to put a great deal of focus on somebody's leadership and winning value, the winning that they brought to their teams in the past. Is that the highest level of importance for what you guys are looking for in players to join this team?
Yeah, I think that and the love of the game, I think, is really something that we value. And rosterability in the NBA today, you have obviously certain financial, structures and systems you got to abide by and build your team accordingly. But the NBA, the reality is you get a one or two superstars, and you try to put players and pieces around them that complement them and play the way, that they play and your coach wants to play. And when we look at, Braden's qualities, his ability to make quick decisions with the ball, like you touched on his leadership skills. One thing we felt like when we watch him play, it really wasn't evident at the combine. When his team, has the ball and Braden is handling the ball, they get a good shot almost every possession. And it comes down to, do you make the shot or do you miss the shot? But you're going to get a good shot when you let him kind of read the defense and make a decision and deliver the ball. And, he's capable of scoring as well if you're going to force him to score. And he's going to have to figure out how to do that against, players at our level. But he's overcome every challenge and every hurdle and every doubter that's, he's faced in his career. And this will be the biggest challenge in front of him. And I just would not bet against this kid.
That is Chad Buchanan right there. So where are you guys? This may be, well, it should be a question for you, but Ted's the guy also as far as, the money and the cap space and all that is concerned. Where are you guys right now going into trying to get some things done here in the offseason? And I guess, what are we looking at right here? What's your major focus of what you feel as a team you need to track down if you can coming up this offseason? What jumps off the page?
Well, I think this group, starting off, I think the core of this group has shown to us that we should believe in them, and for what they've done in the last couple of years, and we want to give this group a chance. We're not looking to break up this core, and so that kind of limits some of the things that maybe you could do. I know people want you to make a big blockbuster trade or a free agent and things like that. We also got to work under the reality of the financial systems of the cap. But I think as I look at our roster, one of the things that was a strength of ours and a big strength of ours during our 2 playoff runs recently was the depth of our team. And I think that's probably where we are maybe lacking a little bit now. I don't think we're quite as deep as we'd like to be. So we'll look at some trades. We'll look into free agency and work within the financial systems that we have, because we're not flush with cap space or things like that, or players we're trying to move necessarily. So that limits you a little bit. But I do think there's going to be opportunities out there to add, some players that can add to our depth. And if the right big move comes along, and we feel like it's the right one to help us, we'll consider it. But we don't want to jump at just anything that's in front of us at this point, because we really haven't seen this team yet together. Zoo's a big addition, and he hasn't played with Tyrese yet. He hasn't played with Pascal yet. So that's, a big change to our team. But we're very excited about Big Zoo, obviously. And but we'll be patient. And, if people are checking Twitter every 10 minutes expecting us to be trading for some all-star, that's probably not going to happen.
Well, and I'm not one of those, and I'm not wishing for one of those, but you and I have talked a couple of different times now. And obviously your focus on this core group, especially for the next 2 years, is what you value the most personnel-wise right now. But if the right deal in your eyes to help this team would come along, would you at all consider compromising anybody within that core group? Or are there just some right now for you in this group that would not be traded or tradable? Is that fair to say?
I think that's pretty fair to say. I mean, obviously, you never count everything out, but it would have to be a really no-brainer opportunity where it doesn't sacrifice, our team and our depth too much. Because there's, if you're willing to move all of your guys, there's probably opportunities out there. But I just go back to, this team has given us reason to believe in them, and I think it's, on us to give them another opportunity to show us. And, we've added a player that we really believe in at the center position that I think can be a great fit for us. And we want to see what this looks like, but, this time of year, people get excited about players moving around. You get excited about the draft and trades. And, we're obviously going to exhaust all opportunities that are out there, but we're very careful about things, with this group because we believe in this core group.
Chad, it's funny, too. What you guys are trying to accomplish is a rarity in sports in general, but especially professional sports anymore, because normally you're kind of taken by the next new shiny thing, and it's such a year-to-year thing. And the belief in this group coming off a 19-win season is is really unprecedented in a lot of ways because that's just not the normal protocol for professional teams. Normally you get 19 wins and you're just down and you're retooling a lot of things. But this is a path that obviously you guys believe in. What do you believe in so much, this particular core group? Is it more about their playoff run of a year ago or just more about what you believe they still have left together, especially in these next two seasons?
Yeah, I'd first go back to what you first said there. The team that we saw last year is not the team that will be out there this year because of injuries, and things like that, and, the trade for Zoo. But I think the reason we have belief in this group is because, I think the best thing you could say and the most accurate thing about our team is we have an ecosystem here. And when the players and the pieces fit together in our ecosystem, it results in very high-level play. And so disrupting that, ecosystem too much, and maybe the talent looks better and when you make a move, but the fit into your system is not as clean and seamless. And obviously, a big part of our success will hinge on, how Tyrese comes back, and we're going to be very patient with that because he's, going to be off the court for a long, long stretch before he plays again. And, he's probably going to go through some, highs and lows coming back from that injury and, acclimating into a new player in Zoo. And so we're going to be patient and understanding that, hey, this is not going to – maybe we don't hit the ground running and start out, 10-2 to start the season. If we do, great. But this is a long season, and we want to give this team a chance to grow and gel together. And, we feel like the pieces fit well together, and we're excited about seeing what Zoo does with this group. It's a new element at that position that we didn't have before. And I think Tyrese, if he, so we can get him back to playing at a high level, he's really going to elevate his game too. And we got some motivated players. I see our guys in the gym every day that are in town, and there's a lot of motivated players on the court right now to get back to winning again.
I know that Kevin was asked this last night, and you may have been asked this a little bit earlier today. I was not privy to that 2:30 presser, but how does Tyrese look right now to you? I mean, it really all out there as far as where he is moving forward and getting into this season, where I would agree with you. You're going to have to be patient, and you're really going to have to hit me over the head with a sledgehammer for me to be patient. So hopefully you have that sledgehammer. However, how has he looked to you? Where is he in coming back and getting back to being the old Halliburton that we want?
Well, he's working his butt off every day. He's in our gym. Our staff and, people that work with him every day are putting him through some really strenuous work, and he looks great. I mean, he's, his body's looking better. He's getting past the shingles that he dealt with, which was, set him back for a little bit, and that was just another hurdle for him to overcome. And I feel like every time I watch him, I feel like he looks a little better and better with each day. And he's a very motivated player to get back to, the level he was playing at before, and very optimistic about what we see. But like I said, it's going to be, you throw him back out there in an NBA court with 9 other NBA players, it's going to be an adjustment for him. And we're going to be with him through the highs and lows. We've had our 2 playoff runs, both those years were kind of rocky starts. So we have experience to know that, hey, a rocky start, if that's what does happen, is not the end of your season. And but I think with the way I see Ty look now, he's gotten stronger. I think he's had the opportunity to add some strength to his game and to his body, which I think will benefit him. The shooting is always going to be there. Getting his legs back under him will be the big part of his recovery and play.
So you realize you're going to have to talk me off the ledge probably a lot early on in the season. I hope you're available for that. I hope.
Calm waters,
just
John.
a little bit.
Calm waters.
I'm trying on this as well. And you and I have had this discussion in the past, and we know that it's not going to be exactly the same. But you know me to be a fan of a heavy pace, a high pace. Again, I'll ask you as we're moving forward to the season now, what type of pace should Pacer fans prepare to see compared to what we saw going back the year before last? And again, with the new 5, there's going to be a difference. And I've been preaching that to everybody. I realize that. But how far off what we know and what I love will they be in your estimation this year?
Yeah, I don't anticipate our pace or our style of play looking any different. Obviously, Zoo brings a different play style and skill set than what, Miles had. But our system is, obviously it's based on you play fast, but it's really part of playing fast is moving the ball and making quick decisions with the ball. And that's part of what makes us successful is we're very difficult to prepare for because we make a lot of quick decisions, which creates, a lot of confusion for the defense. The defense, it's harder for them to get set, and that's not going to change. I mean, that's naturally how Ty plays. That's how Coach Carlisle believes in, is winning basketball on the offensive end. I don't think that's going to change. I mean, maybe, people are unsure of Zoo fitting in because he's not a, gazelle running up and down the floor, but that you don't have to have 5 gazelles to play fast. You need guys that can process the game quickly to play fast, and I think Zoo does that at a very high level.
Chad Buchanan, he is with us. Everybody okay to this point? Nothing negative to report anybody's dealing with right now or those that are coming back from anything minor? Everybody all good? 2 thumbs up for the roster presently?
Yeah, knock on wood. I think, the roster is doing well. We got guys that we're doing their summer workouts, and we have a good amount of players in town, and, a lot of guys looking forward to the season to start. I think the only thing to report is I think our front office is a little sleep deprived, but that's about it. I think we'll survive.
Well, I mean, you guys letting Ted Wu do it all. You and Kevin just, sit back in the easy chair and take a nap, don't you? Is that what happens?
Well, we were just watching the World Cup, and then Ted said, "Hey, we're on the clock," and we just made the pick, and we went back to watching soccer.
Wait a minute. Did Ted just put up his hands and go, "Hey, draft that guy from where your kid went to the high school"? That's what he said? Just draft that kid that went to the high school where your kid went.
Yeah, exactly. He said, "Hey, turn the soccer game down. We got to call in our pick." So.
Oh, man, I will say this, and you know this to be true because I have him on all the time. I'm such a tremendous fan of Matt Painter, and he was up at that party for them in Carmel last night too. That's pretty cool because it does run deep and beyond it. And I know he's the player that you guys believe in moving forward, but at the same time, it is also really cool when it's somebody local because we know how much we all love basketball around here and how meaningful that is, regardless of where your allegiance for a team or a school may be. It was pretty cool last night. It really was. It was cool to see Ryan Conwell's reaction with his family and friends. I mean, all that, to realize those dreams for these guys, it's pretty cool to see that emotion that happens when it does.
It is. From our perspective, you're so locked into, calls with other teams and, thinking through opportunities and trades and, which player you're going to take. And you kind of lose sight of the moment of these are like moments of their life that they're going to cherish forever. Their family's going to cherish. And, for you, you're just thinking through the business part of it. And sometimes the human component, gets lost in the shuffle on draft night. And I always enjoy going back after the draft is over and watching, the reaction of these kids when they get drafted and their dreams are realized. And, for Indiana kids, I mean, just our state we have so many great coaches, so many great players, so many great fans. It's just, it's basketball country, and have a homegrown kid like, Braden, like Ryan Conwell, the guys like that, to see their dreams realized is really a special thing.
And no doubt about that too. So the flexibility in the cap is not there. But you have what they call optionality. You're comfortable going into now July coming up with optionality. Can you at least say that? We feel good about that with some options.
Yeah, I think we're going to exhaust, every chance to add some depth to our team because I do think we do need to add a couple more pieces that can, be a rotational player for us to get through 82 games. We saw last year how important that is. Hopefully we don't have to deal with as many injuries this year, but our team is at its best when we have, 9 to 10 guys playing at a high level and fitting together and fitting our system. And that's kind of going to be our priority over the next, couple of weeks as we get into free agency. And if the right opportunity comes along, that we feel and it's a big move, obviously we're going to have to consider it. But like I said, we feel really good about our core group and we'll be patient on things for when the right move comes along. We'll jump on it.
All right, I'm awaiting my Exhibit 56 in honor of my age. Exhibit 56 contract. All right, I'm waiting on it here. Don't
You
disappoint.
keep checking that mailbox. Keep checking that mailbox.
Yeah, I am. Do not disappoint. Hey, I know that it's been a time, but I'm ready. I'm ready. I wish the season started honest. Well, I'm glad it doesn't, considering Tyrese has to make gains here. But I wish basketball-wise, just for my sake, it did start tomorrow. But thanks for coming on today. I appreciate that. I know it's been incredibly busy for you. We'll catch up later on the summer, I'm sure, when you guys, if you guys end up doing some things and talk up exactly what you're doing. But say hello to the fam for me, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you, Chad.
Appreciate you, John.
Chad Buchanan, the Pacer General Manager on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. A lot to get to there. Mike Chappell, top of the hour. We got Jay from the north side here. Gutshot Greg makes his annual appearance, which is a big deal. So when you drive by Broad Ripple Avenue, make sure you honk here at the Union Jack Pub for Northside Jay and Gutshot Greg. And there you go, pal. Thank you. Gutshot, you're famous, man. The most famous 95-year-old curmudgeon of all time is right here. All right, Caleb, I'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Mike Chappell, top of the hour. Tom Crean still on the inbound here. We're at Union Jack Pub. We are in Broad Ripple with Michelob Ultra. I'll explain coming up next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Love Heating and Air Conditioning. Oh, it is hot. It is humid right now. We're getting a little bit sticky. Cool and comfortable in your home is what you want to be with Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer at 317-353-2141. Hey, Kendra awaits your call. Call Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer today. Ask for Kendra, 317-353-2141. Get your system checked up. I'm making sure you remain cool and comfortable wherever you are. Now, if something is problematic, if you have an issue that needs to be dealt with, 317-353-2141. Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer. You mention my name, and any repair, you're going to get $144 off the service fee. $144 off the service fee at Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer today. Just mention that I told you to call. And ask for Kendra. Do it right now, in fact. 317-353-2141 online, love-hvac.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Collect them, trade them, or just enjoy them.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. We're at the Union Jack Pub. We are in Broad Ripple. Thank you all for joining us. Michelob Ultra brings us to you. I should mention this, too, because we got caught up in the end of a segment, and then Chad Buchanan, and I went a little bit over with Chad. By the way, the podcast, 1075thefan.com, and hopefully we revisit that. I was a bit pressing on the compromising of the core group. I know, and I don't want to see them do it if that's what they believe in, but it does make you wonder if something is out there that is entirely necessary. For example, ample, counted upon, consistent, night in and night out, bench scoring from a wing position. If you could reel something like that in, that's why I wouldn't say hounding. That wasn't a hounding act. But I wanted to ask about that core group, and would you compromise that core group? And we've gone over that before, and no doubt. But I was just curious if at all that would be compromised. And, again, go back and listen to it yourself and see what you think about that. They are obviously set in what they're doing with this particular team right now. There's no doubt about that. But that is one thing that I am incredibly curious about. So, I mentioned too Alyssa Thomas a little bit earlier today, right? Flagrant 2, a 1-game suspension for recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat area of Caitlin Clark. Now, I know it's too little too late. Too little too late. However, at least it is a stride, and I like it because you saw Stephanie White go obviously out of her way to say, hey, something has to be done. The problem is that this happens during the game, and if there's not, a magnified situation during the game, then that to me is the biggest issue. And then you go back to Monday where the elbow was thrown with intent. It was a deliberate elbow, and you did nothing about that. You're still just reactionary. Proactive is what is necessary. You're being reactionary. Proactive with this team is what is necessary, because you can talk about not being officiated fairly and Caitlin Clark being injured, all that, but this team, simply put, is not good enough. It is not good enough as presently constructed. That should be the focus. That's all that matters, is to get better. And with this group, it's almost like you've seen the ceiling with this team right now. We're deep enough into the season to make a heavy evaluation. And my evaluation is something needs to be done with this roster. And before the trade deadline, I think, is sometime in August. Quick break, we'll come back. Union Jack Pub, Michelob Ultra. We are in Broad Ripple. You can join us out here like gut shots on the deck with us. Yes, now is the time on a Thursday. Stuff to win, World Cup about set to get underway, and Mike Chappell is going to join us other side. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Gentlemen, I expect to be prepared to win this game.
Big news, sports fans.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Join us. The kicking game is going on here. We've got your chance to win stuff. I'll explain even further coming up in a bit. Michelob Ultra brings us to you. We're on the deck off of Broad Ripple Avenue right now at the Union Jack Pub. The owner, Jay, is going to pop on here coming up a little bit later on, but it is a lovely Thursday afternoon in Broad Ripple on the Strip, Broad Ripple Avenue with Michelob Ultra. Join us as Ecuador and Germany embark upon their Group E match. Right now, the Americans and Turkey or Turkey, however you pronounce Turkey. It looks like Turkey to me. The Fighting Hidu Turkoglu's have already been eliminated from World Cup play. That's the American matchup coming up later on tonight. That is a late. Well, I know I'm really sad. I'm back in studio coming up tomorrow. Hey, by the way, too, and a shout out to Caleb. Caleb, this is your final day of the week with me. Landon is in tomorrow. Is that accurate?
That is correct, my man.
Man, why? You didn't go the whole week, right? Why not the entire week?
Hey,
what happened?
I'm just doing what the bosses are telling, man. So I don't know what it is.
Landon is in tomorrow. That'll be awesome as well. I'm going to send you a number, too. I want to see if we can get Trace Jackson Davis on the show coming up tomorrow as well, since he's in town, too. I do want to give a shout-out yesterday with Alex and Michael. That's Alex Lamontes and Michael, the owner of the District Tap downtown and up at Clearwater Crossing on the north side. What a great day that was. An outstanding time on the deck. Caleb joined us actually after the show yesterday. It was so good that I missed playing hoop at Greenwood Christian, and I never, ever do that. So I compromised basketball last night for a little conversation with folks we work with and a celebration of Meg's birthday at the District Tap after the show last night. But no, just a great time. Chris Hagan of Fox 59, thank you all for joining us. That's exactly what I like about the summertime of this show, getting everybody all together and having kind of a radio free-for-all. It's a hell of a time. Really is. Chad Buchanan, Pacers GM. A lot of you are suggesting, and I'm wanting to hear from you on the text line at 317-239-1070. You didn't feel it was exactly inspirational. Just out of curiosity, what are you looking for? What sort of inspiration are you looking for? Or what did you not gather from that conversation? What do you need? 317-239-1070. That is the text line. If you did not get the inspiration from Pacer GM Chad Buchanan, what would do it for you? I'll read those coming up in just a bit. Tom Crean's going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour as well. He was a part of the draft coverage on Sirius XM on the NBA radio channel. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, it is Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. I know Mike's been following this as well. Alyssa Thomas did get that suspension after the fact, and, it's about time the WNBA was proactive, and a lot of people, Mike, are saying, hey, a little bit too little too late on this. They have such a problem from top to bottom with that league right now. This is not something I think in a week or two or a month you're going to be able to come back from right here, because it is just one issue after the other, and there is no way in the world, Mike, that you're able to concentrate on the basketball because of all these other BS influences that oftentimes are started by the league itself.
It's like they have a PR department that says, how can we screw this one up? And it goes back to when Caitlin Clark came into the league. They didn't really know how to handle it. They weren't prepared for what she brought, the attention she brought. And again, being upfront about this, Caitlin Clark needs to change her demeanor somewhat with the bitching and the moaning and the hand gestures. But having said that, the way the league, I don't want to say protector, that's not the right word, but they officiate different with her. They just do. And this is your golden goose. I mean, that's what I don't. I saw that 30-year poster you could get with all the players, and there's no Caitlin Clark, and there's no Tamika Catchings, and the Fever representative on there is Sophie Cunningham, which good for Sophie, but are you out of your mind? So I don't understand what they do, and they're always being reactive and not proactive, and the stuff they let go, and then to have three officials looking at that play and say, yeah, okay, play on. I don't get it. But at the same time, and I'll catch hell for this, is she's got 5 technicals this year, and 3 more she's suspended for a game. She could have easily had 2 or 3 more technicals in the way she reacts after getting it. I wish she would tone that down, because then what that does, that trickles down to the rest of the team, and then LA Boston does it, and Sophie Cunningham does it. And that's where someone in the organization has to have enough onions to say, listen, you're a generational player, but let's tone this part down. But the way the league has handled her and the attention and the relevance that she's brought to the league is incredibly stupid. And like I said, it's like that they say, how can we mess this one up? Because they always seem to mess this up.
Yeah, that's on Mike Chappell of CBS 4 on Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I have mentioned this, where I think a lot of us say, would be the Fever. The Fever have their own worst enemies because, Mike, that team's not good right now. They are not at 10-8 is not good enough. And you're right. As the team leader, if you're Caitlin Clark, I know she was in and she got the fist to the neck and all of that we witnessed last night, and she's officiated differently. But the dialogue with the officials is Sabonis-esque. Get your ass back down the floor and try to play some defense, which, by the way, you're not any good at in the first place. And you're right. It does trickle down to the rest of the team. Start being a leader, too. Right. I mean, this is not all about entitlement and, woe was us. And I happen to think right now, and I said this, Mike, at the start of the show, the personnel on this team is all wrong. I think right now there has to be some significant deal done at the trade deadline, because what they're working with right now, simply put, is not good enough, and it's not going to get any better.
Well, and it's crazy. They've now lost 4 games this year when they scored 100 points, which is already a league record, and they played 18 games. And it's incredible that you can score 100 and some points and get beaten. A couple of them are it's like 108 to 101. So they've got incredible individual talent. With Kelsey Mitchell is just a scorer. It's unbelievable the way she scores. But you can't play defense. And it's so, every time they come down, they isolate Caitlin Clark, and she can't play defense. Okay, that didn't compensate somehow. So it's wrong. You've got a better idea than me, but the makeup is wrong, and you can't be a team but they also lead the league in turnover. I think they lead the league in turnovers and personal fouls. Isn't that discipline? I mean, it's discipline to how you play, and obviously we see that half of their losses, they scored 100 points. Well, there's something wrong then. And they're not that – they'll make the playoffs because they're that good, but they're like 7th in the league, and 8 teams make it. So they're not a lot to make the playoffs. They will, because they'll get there. But they should be better. I don't know where it starts, coach, whatever. I don't know. That's out of my lane.
Yeah. They have lost 4 games where they've scored over 100 points, which is unprecedented in that particular league. And I was going to ask you this. hey, Mike, in all of the sports, and she's getting a big-time piece of the blame right now, maybe more than anybody else, Stephanie White. Where would you factor in the head coach in what you just talked about in your view of lack of discipline? Because believe me, watching the Colts and we've had situations like that. That's the reason why Jeff Saturday ended up here after Frank Reich, because of the loss of discipline. How much of that do you see would be on Stephanie White in this case?
Well, the discipline, that's mainly on the coach and the coaching staff. And again, I'm not even remotely calling for Stephanie White's inspiring at all because first I got no background on that, but that's where it comes from. And like I say, somebody in the I remember when Peyton was here and he got to be bigger than he was not only the face of the franchise, but his word carried some sway in the building. And I don't know how with Caitlin Clark, how you have her, who goes to her and say, listen, you got to cut this stuff out. I almost cussed. You have to cut this out and tone it down. I don't know who would go to her and have the clout to do that. But yeah, something's missing, and what's missing is discipline. Again, I'm always texting James Boyd and our guys during the games and all this, and I said I'm waiting for the triple double from her, to where the other double is turnovers. I mean, this is her third year in the league, and she will end up with the 2 highest turnover seasons in league history, because I think she set the league record as a rookie. Not the rookie record, but the league record. So, part of that, too, is her game is so aggressive, and some of her teammates aren't able to complete plays and all that, but you can't, like, as a team, you can't lead the league in turnovers and personal fouls. I think Steph White was complaining that Phoenix shot like 24 free throws in the second half and all that. Well, part of that is your lack of discipline on defense. So yeah, I hope they get it fixed, because they've got they got 3 All-Stars for crying out loud. And some decent role players, and you've got a better idea what fits and what doesn't. But they've just got to get this together, because this is a better team than 10-8. They just are. And the longer it goes to where they're down 6th and 7th and 8th, is going to come back to the coach, because they're going to bench or trade Caitlin Clark? Of course not. So that she won't be the fall person. It'll be somebody else if this season falls short.
To Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So we've seen the schedule now for the Colts coming up in training camp. Their final one at Grand Park in Westfield coming up at the end of July, later on in the summer, about a month or so away right now. Do you think at any point they'll ever reevaluate the process of leaving Grand Park and what they're doing to go and train and to practice back on West 56th Street, or is this now for the foreseeable future the direction they're going to end up going? Because you and I think both agree there's no way the late Jim Irsay would have this happening right now.
Right.
There's a new leadership, a new guidance, a new ownership. You think there's any way they ever revisit what is going to be missing from this starting next year when they do it at home?
No, because I don't. Normally, when you reevaluate, it's because something that you changed, it didn't give you what the intended consequences. I don't see it mattering from a team functioning standpoint whether you practice at Grand Park or on 56th Street. You're going to get the same work in. This is more of a loss for the fan base. Whatever is it, 14 days, 14 practices that people won't have access to the team. But I know they'll try to have some people like next year at the complex, but it won't be the same, and it won't nearly be the number. So I'm sorry. I wish they weren't doing it, but I understand why they do it. A lot of teams now have their training camp at their complex, but no, Jim Irsay, and I think people in the organization, I think Chris Ballard understands the value of letting mom and dad and the 4 kids go to Westfield for 4 days or for a day, because you can't afford to take 6 people downtown. So no, I don't. One thing that I learned is once you lose something or something changes like that, it very seldom goes back to where it was. We used to have full access to practice. I mean, back in the mid-2000s, I mean, you could stand there for 2.5 hours and watch practice, which we did a lot of the time. And then New England came to town one of those years, and Craig Kelly came in and said, Bill Paulie and Tony are going to closed practices this week because New England. Now, don't worry. We'll go back to the way it was. We never did. We never went back the way it was. So I don't think they'll change back. I just don't think there would be an appetite for it. And the people who will lose something will be the fans, and that's unfortunate. But that's the direction we're going.
Yeah, and you complement that with mediocrity or less.
Yeah,
that is just such a bad combination.
Yeah, I think next year when they have practices at the complex, they'll have 2 or 3 downtown at Lucas Oil, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. And so again, it's new leadership, and they'll do things differently. But the only thing that matters is are you going to make the playoffs? Are you 8-9? Are you 9-8? Or whatever? And winning solves everything, as we've known. They could have had training camp at the complex in the 2000s, and people wouldn't have complained when you're winning 12, 13, 14 games. So this is all about bottom line, and they've got to get this thing fixed sooner not later. And if not, we'll see how Carly handles things.
You surprised with the NFL's decision on no supplemental draft and leaving Brendan Sorsby just out there to basically do nothing coming up this season?
Yeah, I've not followed too much just because it's not going to affect this team, but it sounds like the league wants to really send a message that, hey, you gambled. Was it 90 bets he laid and 40 of them on his own team? And one thing I wasn't aware of, and because I thought maybe since he's not in a supplemental draft, he'd be like a street free agent. But you're not, because a player has to have been eligible, made himself eligible for the draft. So somebody just can't sign him. He'll have to wait till next year's draft, enter his name in the draft, and then when he's not drafted or whatever, he goes on. So there'll still probably be court filings and all this stuff, but the league really wants to send a message that, gambling, doggone, gambling is just, you start going down that road. We've seen with guys in this league, Isaiah Rodgers, remember. So that's such a slippery slope about gambling, and then gamble on your own team. That tells you how bad he had it. So it doesn't really surprise me. I'm probably more surprised that he's got no avenue now to play, but that's the course that he chose. He put himself here, and now there's consequences. The older you get, the heavier the consequences. I always tell the kids and the grandkids that you can mess up now and it's not a big deal. The older you get, the consequences are pretty stiff.
Yeah, and I think about it too. We are so just on top of a double standard in advertising and sports with that now too, that certainly is so interwoven and problematic right here. You almost look at Isaiah Rodgers, Mike, in this situation, and obviously what they've done in the secondary, they don't need that right now, but maybe you would not had to have paid and done some of the work in the secondary had that not taken place or you not made that decision. It's almost like this. I feel like Isaiah Rodgers one of these days is going to be marginalized like what we did with Kelvin Sampson in the NCAA with, him getting fired and breaking rules and all that went down there. It's going to be something you look back on and you go, all right, it really wasn't that big a deal. They may have benefited with keeping him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, too, when you're a player, and even the media, the inside information that we have, that's a thing. That's a serious thing, and it's advantage. I guess if you could make one rule is that nobody can bet. If you're a player, you can't bet because there's things you can do and things you can't do, and it's even harsher. If I'm not mistaken, there are harsher rules if you're an employee of the team than if you're a player. So I just and again it's there, and now with college and the NIL where these guys all of a sudden are getting $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. All of a sudden, you get money, and these kids. We've seen, like with Anthony Richardson, how the immaturity played a role in where he is right now. He got too much too soon, and now you got players all over the country getting that. And and you got people trying to prey on these kids, and sometimes it works. It's just, we all knew that when they started paying players in college, it would be the Wild West. And maybe we're surprised about how much these players are getting, but once you start paying these players, I don't know how you govern it. I don't know what you have to do. Well, gambling is one thing, but how you mess up somebody's getting a violation of NIL. I didn't know there were violations of NIL. So it's just, I can see why coaches are tired of it. Maybe coaches get out of the business. But this is the next phase of college, isn't it? We're going to end up having, 2 or 3 major conferences, and that's it. And then if you're not one of those teams, then you're Ball State or, of course, Indiana State, you can't even remotely compete with the major colleges. But that's where we are now.
Hey, Mike, can you fair a guess? Maybe you know off the top of your head. How many stories did you pen regarding Art Schleister covering the Colts over your career?
I was the backup guy then. So John Bance and funny enough, Robin Miller probably wrote more than I did, which Robin and Art Schleister were cut from the same mold. But not many. The biggest memory I've got is when we were in the press room, whatever year it was, 84, and Art Schleister started the game in Pittsburgh. And the coach said, well, he's going to be our starting quarterback unless something disastrous happened. And they got beat like 42-3, 42-6. And we're sitting there in the media room, the old media room, and I thought it was Dowhauer, where he said, yeah, we signed this guy, we signed defensive tackle George Achika, and we've waived Art Schleister. And you say, what? You know, what? So, yeah, Indianapolis really never got to see much of Schleister because of how, from Baltimore to Indy. But what a tragic life he has lived. And it just shows you that when the addiction gets you, if you're not serious about beating the addiction, it'll just simply wear you down and leave you on the side of the road, beaten and bloody.
It's Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group line, a little over a month away from the start of training camp, and then things get real for the last time at Grand Park in Westfield, and we'll see what happens with this squad. Mike, we'll do it again next week. Actually, next Thursday we'll get you into a 4th of July weekend over there in Beach Grove. Coming up next Thursday. Yeah, I think next Thursday, we're at Behringer's on South Meridian. Long-time hangout. Where Dillinger used to be. That's where he used to go and get some drinks. Yeah. So anyway.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Thanks, Mike.
You guys be well. Stay in touch.
Mike Chappell, CBS 4 and Fox 59. As I mentioned, too, Behringer's, that is coming up next Thursday. Next Thursday at Behringer's on South Meridian, which with Rob and the gang is always a spectacular time. D, you going to give me something right here, are you? Man, you're giving me a shirt. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a break here, D. I'm going to chat you up, and we'll come back with that in just a second. And by the way, Tom Crean's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Sirius XM NBA draft coverage. I want his thoughts on Braden Smith and the possibility of his transition to the NBA level with the Pacers and the rest of this draft, likes, dislikes, and more. Tom's going to join us coming up at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. Chad Buchanan, Pacers GM, a little bit earlier. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Michelob Ultra. We are here today in Broad Ripple. Union Jack Pub. Jay, the owner, is going to join us a little bit later on, and we're watching World Cup. We've got stuff to give away. You can play the kicking game. Ecuador and Germany level at 1 in the 26th minute right now in Group E. Updates forthcoming. More me, more of you on the other side, too. And my question, the inspiration or lack thereof from what you heard from Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager. We'll talk about that on the other side and read some of what you sent me, too. AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You want to hear our signal? That was our signal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, we all had a signal. Tom Crean, top of the hour, is going to join us. Chad Buchanan a little bit earlier. Mike Chappell a moment ago. Union Jack Pub on the Strip, Broad Ripple Avenue in Broad Ripple, with Michelob Ultra, the kicking game. That almost sounds like the high five song, the kissing game, the kicking game. We have for a scarf, for a hat, and a lot more for you as well here with Michelob Ultra. That brings us to you today. And Jay, the owner of the Union Jack, this is the place to go to watch the World Cup. Level at 1, Ecuador and Germany, 31st minute. I should also tell you, I've got a lot of calls to get to, but I should tell you this as well. That's level at 1. That's Ecuador and Germany in Group E. You have Curacao and the Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast up 1-0 right there, 31st minute. And Japan, Sweden at 7 tonight. Tunisia and the Netherlands at 7 tonight. Paraguay, Australia at 10 tonight. Turkey and the United States at 10 later on tonight. Before I get to D, 239-1070. Get Cameron on board here, Caleb, if you would not mind. Cameron, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Hey, with everything that's been happening with the Fever, it kind of reminds me of the 24 to 25 Pacers before they started that January run, where they just weren't getting calls and didn't really get the respect around the league, even though they had talent. And it makes me wonder if there's a WNBA James Johnson we can bring in, kind of police the action if the referees won't put an elbow in someone's ribs or teeth, you know?
Yeah, well, honestly, Phoenix has a couple of them. Thomas and Bonner, the former player, both kind of act like that at times. I wouldn't know if there's anybody, but it's funny. Sometimes you find out what you need on a roster in events like this. I just think overall, Cameron, this is a situation where I'm glad that the WNBA addressed it, but they were late to address it, and we'll see how compromised with that back injury concern Caitlin Clark remains. But it is one error after the other with the WNBA on this. And I'm also here to tell you the Fever are not exempt of this either, because they've bought stuff, and this roster is simply put not good enough right now. So I'm talking about the WNBA, Cameron, being proactive with their officials or being proactive with the league to be better. The Fever need to be proactive with their roster right now, because that is not good enough. You lead the league in turnovers and fouls, and you've lost 4 games where you've scored 100 points. That's not the Fever team that anybody expects. An evaluation and a change, to me, absolutely has to be made by the trade deadline.
Well, that's why it reminded me of the 24-25 team before that January run, kind of similar, even going back to the Bruce Brown days. You know, a lot of offense, but kind of sloppy offense, and not nearly enough defense, and not nearly enough rebounding.
Yeah, somebody has to. There's no doubt. But you watch the WNBA officials. I make fun of the NBA officials all the time. The WNBA officials are beyond clueless. It is a clueless event, and for a sport that in the last 2.5+ years we're looking to make strides, it is a tremendous backpedal. You want people to come and watch because of your basketball product, and you're going to turn people away because it's such a book show right now, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Difficult to watch on a consistent basis without getting frustrated.
It is. I mean, I joke all the time about 15 missed layups a game. That's going to make me turn it off. That's one thing, but my goodness, at least if you're going to play some good basketball, have some cohesion with the officials and all of it, it certainly is a circus. Cameron, thank you for the call. I appreciate that.
You have a good one.
Cameron's looking for an enforcer for the Fever. I have no idea. I don't know. Huh? What'd you say, Jay, that Miss Ballbricker from Porky's, would she be good? She's dead. Listen, I don't know. I just know that overall everybody has to be better in all of this. Look, Darnell, can you pot up Darnell, make sure he's good right here. Did you come and join me in Broad Ripple today, Pally?
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Unofficial mayor of Broad Ripple.
You are the unofficial mayor.
I know we got Rick Rakestraw, but I'm the unofficial mayor of Broad Ripple. So anytime you're in Broad Ripple,
how you doing, buddy?
I'll come around. I'm good. I've been traveling a lot with Beat Baseball and since first VP of the league, but wanted to come by and bring your T-shirt. From
got a T-shirt right there in my crotch area.
It was our 25th annual Indy Thunder Loves Tito's now Beat Ball Bonanza. And we won that, so I'm not coaching anymore, but the other coach, Jared Witter, who's our pitcher coach, the apple hasn't fallen too far from the tree, and we're now on a 33-game winning streak, so we almost haven't lost in the calendar year. So probably our next big competition is the World Series, which is coming up in early August. But I come by to just say, hey, let you know I'm still a P1
Seems like
listener.
you guys play year-round. You guys play year-round?
No, we practice almost year-round.
Well, I feel that same way with the Indy 11. It seems like the Indy 11 have a game every single month of the year. The 11 are playing Charleston later. I go, what? When's this happen?
Well, I know this is soccer, but I just wanted to come and hype up a couple things that we're doing. And
better do it.
And then glad you let me come on. So we have a fundraiser in Louisville, but Sunday it's here in the city. It's the We Shine Classic right here, John. The We Shine Classic. It's at Pike High School. So we got a call. It's going to be a lot of adaptive sports at Pike High School, free and open to the public.
Yeah.
I think you can get a T-shirt and a ticket. I think you have to go on their We Shine, their website. But the Indy Thunder is going to do a demonstration after at 3:30 on Sunday from 3:30 to 5. We're going to do a demonstration of Beat Baseball, and if anybody wants to come out, and it's going to be on their soccer field. It's not on their turf field because that's too fast. But we got invited to bring awareness of Beat Baseball to this event.
Good.
It's from 2 to 6 on Sunday afternoon at Pike High School, free open to the public. I think they got food and food trucks and ice cream trucks or whatever. But, like I said, John, I just wanted to stop by and say hello, see how you were doing.
Good to see you, buddy.
And I brought you a shirt by. Hope we can wear this.
I have not heard you on the JMV takeover in a minute.
It's a schmedium.
I need a schmedium,
I got to catch up with Marcellus. Tell him I'm going to be back in the fold.
Hey, Marcellus knocked it out of the park again on Saturday. He went confunction to radio. One was Chase Me to Hot Stuff by radio.
So
it was pretty classic.
I have a lot of stuff, so I'm going to have to meet Marcellus. Have you met Marcellus before?
I have, yeah. He's a great guy.
I'm going to have to meet him at one of the remotes, but because we can exchange music. But like I said, good that the soccer's going on, and hopefully the U.S. will get through the knockout round, even though tonight Turkey doesn't mean anything. And I would rest the one guy that they're talking about. But, again, I'm hoping they make it through the knockout round. And this is a good spot for hosting the soccer. Union Jackson's always good, and they are a staple here in Broad Ripple. But it's good to see you. So, we'll be out there.
My brother, appreciate you.
We'll be out there at Pike High School, 3:30 to 5 on Sunday at Pike High School demonstrating some Beat Baseball. Thanks, John, for the opportunity to.
He is the unofficial mayor of Broad Ripple. That's me.
Thanks, John.
Darnell is in the house here at the Union Jack Pub in Broad Ripple with Michelob Ultra. If you mention that, Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas, flagrant foul 2 penalty after the fact, 1 game suspension for, this is the quote, recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat area, Fever guard Caitlin Clark. And see how far, if you listen to this show, how far out in front of this we were. You go back to Monday night and the elbow that she threw to Clark's face, it is intentional and it is deliberate. And that's how it escalated when you have clowns on the court that don't deal with that stuff. It's one thing not to recognize it. That's why you have replay. You got to recognize it. I don't care if it didn't make contact. Yeah, it was everybody's point. Well, it didn't make contact, but who cares? It's non-basketball related play. And as this says right here, that elbow that missed on Monday was every bit as reckless as the fist that made contact last night. So you didn't deal with it on Monday. You didn't deal with it last night. But then if you're the WNBA and the entire clown show that they are, you make sure you deal with it because you're trying to appease the court of public opinion right here. That's all it is about. But too late. I mean, the cat's been out of the bag for a long time on this. They absolutely, I mentioned the personnel changes with the Fever that are going to be necessary because they're 10-8 this season. you're going to have leadership changes in the WNBA. You got to get somebody in there that can handle something, anything at all. And it's not like we're making light of it. We're embellishing anything. This is all problems that they bring on themselves. And you can't live in a world where you want everything to be about your game of basketball when you compromise that with decision after decision and lackadaisical attempts at finding the highest level of officiating. And listen, I've said this before, and it's accurate. The NBA officials at times aren't that great, so why would I be surprised that the WNBA officials aren't that great? And I'm all for adjusting to it, and the players have to adjust to it. But these two incidents in the last two nights, Monday and Wednesday, are, to me, entirely different than calling a foul or a travel here or there or what's a charge and what's a block. None of that matters as much to me as these egregious acts that you don't deal with until there's an outcry to deal with it from the general public. And that's, once again, even though you do hand out a suspension and you deal with it, that's how you recognize that your group and your league is run by a clown and a clown show. And that's exactly what you have right here and right now. But, as I mentioned, too, this Fever team's not good enough. There's no, hey, they've lost because the officials. No, they've lost because they are not good enough. And to me, I think it's long past this team to recognize, hey, we got to start playing this way and being more consistent. To me, I think that there is a change in personnel that is necessary. You got a trade deadline coming up, at the beginning of August? You got to recognize that and go out there and try to make this team better because expectations are far from being met right now. Who's going to be the first on that hook? The head coach, I would guess. But far from being met. This team, simply put, does not have it right now. All right, 239-1070 is that number. I did want to read this. That is on the text line at 317-239-1070. Hey, JMV, I think us listeners should collectively, quote, tip our caps towards Mr. Caleb Zuver for his fantastic job of holding down the fort and continuing to elevate your show during the absence of James. He's proven himself to be a great sixth man, JMV. That is a tip of the cap and a thanks from Nick right there, Caleb, if you've read that too on our text line. And Jay from the north side is tipping his cap as well. Actually, it's a cup he is tipping. Well done, buddy.
Dude.
Well done.
That is extremely nice. Thank you, Nick. And no, I didn't have the text line up, so I didn't even see that. So you just broke that to me. That is a sweet surprise. That is awesome.
How about that?
Been a lot of fun.
So you're out tomorrow. Landon Coons is in.
He will be in
tomorrow for you.
Yep. So and Landon's great too. So it's a lot of fun. And dude, just to see, you were just talking about last night being at the district tab, just hanging out with everybody. That's what I love. You're bringing people together, and it's cool to be a part of this week. So
it is a hell of a time. It is. My man John Easter writes this. I love this guy. I was asking to be signed by the Pacers in an Exhibit 56 rule because I'm 56 years old. John Easter says the Exhibit 47 allows George standing in one place and yelling whoop while waving for the ball. I do move around a little bit. Thank you, though, John. The Exhibit 47 for sure. Yeah, Beulah Ballbricker. That is, and if she were still with us, there would be your reinforcement. That would be your tough. That would be your strength, your muscle. Beulah Ballbricker. If you remember, and I know Caleb doesn't recognize this, and probably most of my audience doesn't, one of the greatest films of all time, the 1981 classic Porky's, which no way in the world that's going to be made today. But if you remember, Tommy Turner had his, hanging out of the wall, and Beulah came up and grabbed it in the girls' locker room shower and then tried to later on in the film identify it, quote, with the mole. Beulah Ballbricker was the muscle back in the day. And I don't know why she was the first name, first person I thought of in terms of what the Fever need. But Beulah Ballbricker. Shout out to the great film Porky's back in 1981. All right. Hey, we're with Michelob Ultra today. The kicking game out front could net you some prizes. We'll come back with you on the other side, too. I know Jay, the owner of the Union Jack Pub here in Broad Ripple, will join us a little bit later on, too. So will Tom Crean coming up at the top of the hour. I'll tell you what right now, since we're going into it, Caleb, let's do that. Coming up on October the 21st, you've got the Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Murrah National Center. I neglected to give away tickets yesterday. So I've got a couple of passes for you. And Barry Bostwick, who was a part of that cast of that film in 1975, will be present for a Q&A. Rocky Horror Picture Show, a cult classic. You know what happens during that? Murrah National Center leading up to Halloween, October the 21st. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Caleb, how about we do number 9 at 239-1070 right now? Number 9 at 239-1070. Rocky Horror Picture Show, October the 21st. Murrah National Center, and actor Barry Bostwick will be a part of that. Number 9, you're a winner. Live in Broad Ripple, Union Jack Pub with Michelob Ultra at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
NBA. Oh, NBA. Where'd you learn about that? Sports Illustrated swimsuit editions.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. We're in Broad Ripple. I want to thank you all for joining us in Gutshot for his annual appearance. It's awesome. Look at Caleb back there going with high five in the kissing game. Crank this up for me really quick. So, JV Takeover on Saturday night, B105.7, right, is 90s on the weekend. I do whatever. So we'll do 90s, 80s, 70s, maybe something from today. I'm not going to go like, hey, call in here if you're 12 years old girl and call all the time. but stuff from today as well. So JMV TakeOver Saturday night, which normally it's whatever anyway, but it is going to be extremely whatever coming up on Saturday night. And as you know, powered by our friends at Big Red Liquors. That's the JMV TakeOver, 6 until midnight coming up on Saturday night. It is B105.7. At the half, Ecuador and Germany level at 1. Ivory Coast 1, Curaçao 0. Halftime at that one, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia, Netherlands at 7. The 10 o'clock games, you can watch them all right here, too, at the Union Jack Pub in Broad Ripple. Paraguay, good to hear from you, honkers. Australia and Turkey and Team USA, the U.S. men's national team at 10 o'clock coming up later on tonight. All can be seen with Michelob Ultra, and you're going to have a great time with the kicking game behind us right here to win prizes with Zinc and Michelob Ultra at the Union Jack Pub. We are on the Strip in Broad Ripple. Meantime, Tom Crean, top of the hour. 239-1070 right now. Let's go with Jay, I believe, is up next. Hello, Jay. How are you?
How we doing, JMV?
Jay, I'm great. Do you hear a lot of dialogue behind me right here?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm focused on your call, Jay. Go ahead. You can count on it.
So just talking Fever and potential issues, I think it's got to start with Stephanie White. I mean, the biggest red flag for me with a coach, when you're at the end of the game, especially when you're getting the ball inbounded on the opposite side and you don't even are controlling the huddle and you have an assistant coach controlling it, that just seems like she's way over her head.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on this. I will agree with you on this point, that if they fail to live up to if these expectations, what we see right now continues, she's in trouble. Make no mistake about that. However, I look at these categories, and I start with turnovers, and then you look at defense. That, to me, is not her. That, to me, is not her. Mike Chappell brought up, the actions and the technicals from Caitlin Clark and being out of control and not keeping control of your team, reining in your team. That's going to be on the coach. And really, ultimately, all of this is on the coach. But to me, a lot of this stuff that really matters between this team winning and losing is stuff well within the players' control that they have failed upon executing. So that's why I look at it differently, Jay, than you do right here.
Yeah, I get that. I just think it's a foundational thing where the players obviously aren't showing much respect for her anyway. So let's say you're at the end of the game and your head coach isn't even the one telling you what to do. I just feel like that's not helping her cause gaining the respect of the players.
Yeah, well, here's my problem. If that's how the players feel, then the players can just leave. That's not like the players are doing anything great right now. I mean, hell, you could cobble together some other women out there right now and be 10-8, couldn't you? So I would say that about the players. And I know they're not going to do that. And I know that that's kind of a faulty argument. I'm not trying to sustain that with a legitimate argument. But I just think a lot of the issues with this team that we talk about every day are well within the control of the team and the personnel. That is why I'm an advocate of them changing personnel. Now, Jay, I will tell you this. You change personnel and you have similar issues coming up after the trade deadline, then you're absolutely going to be right. But I think that's something that needs to be addressed because this roster is faulty right now, and I think that's the biggest part of the issue with this group being disappointing at 10-8.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel like they changed the personnel a little bit from last year, and defense was an issue last year as well, and so that's just where I'm coming from.
Jay, you call anytime. Thank you for the call. Anytime.
Hey,
thank you very much. I should mention this, too. Thank you. Max Clark of Franklin High School and the Mud Hens, Victory Field. Max is going to be in town July 7th through the 11th. One of Johnson County's own and finest, a terrific baseball player, Max Clark from Franklin High School at Victory Field, coming up July the 7th through the 11th. So, locals, plan accordingly for one of your own coming back to town swinging the stick at Victory Field. Hey, all right, we're live at Union Jack. We're in Broad Ripple. Michelob Ultra brings us to you. We got the kicking game going on. We'll update you on all that. But Tom Crean from SiriusXM, he had the NBA draft coverage. We talk about Braden Smith. We talk about everybody else that drafted over the course of the past 2 days. And the former IU coach Tom Crean is going to join us next. Hey, the best in realty, Mark Dito Realty. I've said this all the time. You may not need it right now, but at some point you will at 317-755-4232, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. Just like Mitch in Martinsville, home was getting too big, so heard about Mark Dito on this show and decided to go with Mark, and the outcome, as usual, fantastic. Offers within 48 hours, closed in 30 days for exactly what Mitch was looking for, and that's what Mark Dito will do for you. In fact, he's the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dito guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Mark Dito Realty. Here's that number one more time. Utilize that right now. That's great. 317-755-4232. Save it for later, like English Beat. That's great, too, because you're going to need it. 317-755-4232. That's the best in realty. Mark Dito, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. Hey, it powers the JMV takeover every Saturday night. That is sweeping the nation. That is Big Red Liquors. 19 new locations here in the Indianapolis area to serve you in a red, white, and booze weekend coming up. I know this at Paradise Day. Watson, we're going to be tripping the light fantastic coming up on Sunday afternoon for real. Where are we going to go? Big Red Liquors for the supply right there. And what do I love? I'm going to raise it right here because Jim Jr. behind me knows this to be true. I love me some Michelob Ultra, the ultra superior light beer right here before me, and great deals going on across the board. The 100-plus locations you're going to find with Michelob Ultra at Big Red Liquors. Oh, yeah, by the way, Bud and Bud Light. Good to hear from you, pal. All there at Big Red Liquors. And the 100-plus locations, powering the JMV takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. Getting honked at on the Strip in Broad Ripple is just a part of it as well. Hey, to find that location nearest you and the Red Hot deals, the Speakeasy deals for you save, you can do that today. That's BigRedLiquors.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I look a woman up and down and I say, hey, how you doing?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Broad Ripple is our location today, Union Jack Pub with Michelob Ultra. We've got World Cup games ongoing, in fact, 2 at the half. Ecuador, Germany, level at 1. Ivory Coast, 1-0 over Curacao as they're at the half. 7 o'clock starts Japan, Sweden, Tunisia, Netherlands, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey, and the U.S. men's national team coming up later on. Look at that, coming up later on tonight. That is at 10 o'clock. You can see it all right here, too. Michelob Ultra is flowing, and we got the kicking game ongoing as well. I mentioned back in studio coming up tomorrow. I'll give you the list on that. We're trying to reach out to Trace Jackson Davis, of which we played a little hoop with at Center Grove on Tuesday night, which was an absolute pleasure from the NBA, the former Hoosier. And I should also mention, if you missed Chad Buchanan, the Pacers general manager, a little bit earlier, that podcast regarding their selection or their trade for after the selection of Braden Smith was made from Westfield High School and Purdue, bringing Braden Smith into the fold and a lot of the off-season journey of expectation from the blue and gold with Chad Buchanan, that podcast, 1075thefan.com. But he was a part of the SiriusXM coverage for the NBA draft. The former Hoosier head coach, friend of this show, is Tom Crean, who's kind enough to join us now. Tom, good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good afternoon.
So what'd you make of the draft? And I guess I'll start right here. With the motivation the Pacers had to go out and bring in local favorite Braden Smith from Purdue, how do you think that ultimately works out, and was that surprising to you at all last night?
No, and as much as you like to have the feel-good story of an Indianapolis kid coming home to play for the hometown team, they wouldn't draft him if they didn't think he had killer in him, and he has absolutely done that. I mean, I don't know how many people have ever in the Big Ten or in college scored 1,500 points, had 1,000 assists, 500 rebounds. I'd probably go with 0, right? Like that's an incredible – That's an incredible, and I'm being half facetious about anybody else. I don't think anybody else has ever done that. I mean, that's unbelievable. And you say, well, he played 4 years. That dude got it done from the moment he got to Purdue. I mean, there's just he just takes it to another level. I coached a guy like that with Travis Diener at Marquette, and he had some different injuries. He didn't become the all-time assist leader. But when you have that, when you have a guy like that, they make everybody else not only on the court better, but they make them feel more. They make them feel more engaged because the level of passing that he can make, the way that he can throw the pick and roll pocket pass to the short roller, the way that he can deliver the ball, the fearlessness that he has, the spirit that he plays with, that's not only going to energize college kids, it's going to energize pros. And we know it's going to energize the fan base. But I think when you draft him, you're feeling like this guy is going to come in here. Maybe it'll be in a backup role. But you know what? At the end of the day, he's going to have to win games for us. He's going to have to start games at some point. He's going to have to close games. He's going to have to change the point differential in the minute that, at some point in the game, we're down 14 and all of a sudden he's in, he inspires the team. All of a sudden now we're up 6, right? Like there's so many things that a kid like that can do that I think it was a great pick. And he was going to go somewhere fairly high. I'm almost a little surprised he lasted that long. But for the Pacers to have that was their only pick, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's a heck of a thing.
They had to work to get it, too. They had to trade.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Cam Jones from the place where you used to coach was the guy that was traded to Chicago. So they also got a little bit of support financially, I think, along with this, too. So that was part of the equation.
Well, remember this. They traded up to get Cam Jones last year. So they actually moved on a guy that they traded up to get before. So that just goes to show you how much they think of Braden Smith.
It's Tom Crean who joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Give me things that translate immediately with Braden, and then things that are going to take a while for him to work on and to evolve in his game at the ultimate level. Where do you start?
Well, I think he can deal with pressure, and a lot of guards that come into the NBA from college, they really struggle with trapping, and there's not as much trapping at times. You're going to play drop coverage on him. He's going to hurt you in that because he can get into the paint. He can throw back to a pop. So if you hedge it, if you trap it at the top of the key, he's going to kill you in the short roll. So anybody that's going to catch the ball is going to get the ball and get open and be able to make decisions. Look what he did for Trey Kaufman-Rent. Single-handedly, the way he plays in the short roll and his footwork helped that kid get drafted last night. So he impacts winning. He impacts confidence. He's very, very good. He shoots a lot of mid-range shots, which is something, obviously, the analytics say, don't live on that. But at the end of the day, when you're in drop coverage, like teams are, you're going to get those shots, right? Those shots are going to be there. So he can make that. Where he's got to improve his three-point shooting. There's no doubt about that. He's got to get better with that. I think he's improved. He's got a very natural leg kick when he goes up into his shot, that hurts with range. So I think he's got to get better balance on his three. I think he's going to find ways to get more catch-and-shoot shots. Look how many catch-and-shoots he got Fletcher Lawyer. And I think he's going to get some of those catch-and-shoots in the NBA, especially as, with Halliburton's back and the other guards that they'll have. Defensively, being able to deal with the physicality of the screens. He knows how to defend pick and roll, but now dealing with a different level of physicality. And he's going to be dealing with a lot more bigger guards, than what he dealt with in the Big Ten in college. I think he can guard those guys because he's tough and he's barrel-chested, right, which is so important. Like he's not real big, but he is strong. And I think he's stronger probably even sometimes than he looks. So I think that's going to be good. But man, you can't deny the competitiveness, the fight. Just look at him. If Matt doesn't recruit him, he goes to Belmont. That's just amazing to me. Yeah. And that just goes to show what Matt sees, what he saw in the kid, and the same things that Matt saw 4 years ago, the Pacers see now, and there's an absolute place in the NBA to have that level of mindset.
It's Tom Crean, who was a part of the coverage for the NBA draft. He joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Did you have a personal favorite, individually speaking, in the two-day draft that you covered?
As far as player or
as far as player, yeah. I guess I'll tell you what, player and then player and destination, if that also was a part of the equation. Yes.
I don't think I did. I know a lot of those guys from made a camp or covered them, but I don't know them in that sense. I'm happy for Darren Peterson. I think he's going to shock a lot of people. I think he's a killer. I really do. I think he's quiet. He went through the hard year, but I think that's a great pick for Utah. I think so much of it in general is it's the culture of these guys, and culture is always an overused word, but it's so important that they get into an environment where they really learn what's expected, that the other young players are locked into being workers, that the veterans are good guys, who the veterans are going to be for those guys. And that because there's so many young players, there's 14 freshmen that went in the first round, that the process of development, which for a lot of those guys starts today, that were first-round picks on Tuesday night. For the second-rounders, maybe it starts tomorrow. But the bottom line is, you got to really dive in. But I was really happy for Yaxel Lendenborg the other day, how excited he was. He's a quote machine. He could do his own television special right now, but he was so happy. His mom is going through cancer. He was so happy for her. Kingston Flemings was probably a personal favorite because I think there's such a humility and a hunger to him. He's the fastest kid in the draft. He's going to Atlanta. I thought that was a great fit. I think that the teams that did a great job were Oklahoma City, getting Bennett Sturts, getting a Mara, both from the Big Ten. I think San Antonio nailed the highest risk but biggest reward prospect in the draft in Jaden Quaintance, who played at Arizona State and then at Kentucky. He only played 4 or 5 games at Kentucky. But John, this guy, he's played 2 seasons of college basketball and he's not even 19 yet. So if you have that and he's gone through these injuries and they may have to sit him through that again because he's got this injury, when you're the Spurs, you can take a hit on a guy like that. And if you hit on that, you might have an all-star in 4 years, 5 years. So I thought it was a great draft. It was a lot of fun. I think the second rounders come in with the ability to make these teams because they played in college for so long. But I thought it was an excellent draft. It's it's got a chance to be like the 2017 draft that OG was in, and Thomas Bryant and Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, guys like that.
All right, and around here you probably heard that Chad Buchanan, Pacers GM, was on a little bit earlier. And their draft selection turns out to be Ivica Zubac, who is a veteran pivot who comes here. And we saw what they lost because they gambled that selection and ultimately surrendered that to the Clippers, whom drafted Keaton Wagler out of Illinois, who had a great freshman season. What do you think about that deal? And I know that ultimately it's going to be, especially, Tom, the next 2 years, what you see from the Pacers and if they're able to get back to where they were the year prior. But how do you view that deal as of right now for what they gave up? Because obviously they needed a 5, and with Ivica Zubac, that's what they got in the trade deadline going back to February. What does it look like to you?
Well, if that's the position that you want, you could look at this draft, you could look at the next few, and you could say, okay, there's really nobody coming up like that. There's certainly no Wembys, but there's nobody coming up like that. So if that is a position that you know you have to have to get back to where you were, that's a no-brainer. I mean, you do that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's a no-brainer to me. He's that good. Now, if you were just trying to get an incredibly talented player and we've got to have a guy that can be the face of the franchise, well, then maybe you don't make that move because then there's some other really good players like Peterson, DeBonsa, Cam Boozer that are there. But you're talking about a guy that's an all-star level player, that's a high-level winner, that's highly skilled. And, again, the Pacers – they took 1 year to try to deal with the Halliburton injury. And as everybody knows, it was a year removed from being in the 7th game of the NBA Finals and could have easily been a champion that day. So this is not a normal rebuild. I think it was a great move. I think he's a fantastic player. I don't know him personally, but I think he's done a great job, and I think he's going to flourish in Rick's system.
Are you a believer in Wagler out of Illinois that high?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there were teams trying to trade up to get him. I'd heard rumors that afternoon that Milwaukee was looking at packaging 10 and 13 to get to him. I think other teams, L.A. really sat in a great seat because they could draft Darius Acuff at 5, knowing that he only wanted to be in Sacramento and knowing that Sacramento was trying to orchestrate everything to get him. And you could have drafted him, made a trade with Sacramento, maybe got a young player, maybe got another pick. But I think they were convinced they wanted Wagler more than anybody else. And I think it's a really good pick. I think he's going to be fantastic. He's got so many innate things. And I think they look at the rise of how far he came because nobody saw it coming before the year. But when you look at the why, when you look at his athleticism, when you look at how he processes the game, when you look how he doesn't get sped up, what he did at Purdue is unbelievable, right? And he just read how he was being defended. He read the switch, takes the 3. He reads Oscar Clough couldn't get back out to him, takes the 3. 46 points against Purdue now as a freshman. That's unbelievable because it wasn't like they didn't know who he was, right? So I think it was a great pick for them. Kingston Flemings, to me, was the best pure point guard. Darius Acuff is the best pure maybe scoring guard. Keaton Wagler's got as much upside as anybody that was picked in that top 10.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that next, too, because you had a run. And this, my philosophy was that even if the Pacers had the 5th overall selection, that they would have traded it. Given the run, I don't know if they would have drafted Wagler, and I don't know if they would have drafted one of these guards because you had Brown and Acuff and then Flemings go after that. Who do you think of those 3 guards? Obviously, Wagler out of this equation, but who do you think of those 3 guards of Brown and Acuff and Flemings would you have ridden with in this draft over the other?
I would throw Braden Burries in there, too, who went 10th. If I was picking 5th of the Pacers and I have a healthy Halliburton, I would have probably taken either Wagler or Burries, because I think Burries could have filled a Mathurin role and in the sense of where he could go. But Wagler, I would think, he's going to be able to make shots. He's going to get his release higher as he goes. He can pass the ball. The only thing he's got to continue to deal with is get stronger and deal with really physical teams. And at times when people wanted to get up to him and body him, they had great spacing one of the reasons he was so good, they had great spacing in Illinois, where some teams that don't play with that level of spacing, it would have been harder for him because it would have been easy to be more physical with him. But because they usually had no less than 4 guys on the floor that could shoot threes, it opened up space for him. I think he's an outstanding layup maker. He gets the ball off his hip. So imagine you got the ball, you're dribbling it, and you lift it to hip level. How quick he gets the ball off his hip, up into off the backboard, tremendous. I mean, really, really good. Josh Giddey is a guy that comes to mind that can really get a layup lifted. Well, I think Wagler's got that. But again, I still wouldn't. At the pick of 5, I think the Pacers did great making that trade.
You know what's funny about that? If I would think, and I thought about this at the moment, I think the Pacers had a selection that they would have traded back, and I think that would change a lot of the dynamic of 5 through 10, because you mentioned Burries, if that was maybe a thought with the Pacers, that would have changed the dynamic of basically 5 through 10 in that range in the first round.
I think so. See, I think A-Cup is going to get the most opportunity because I think they're just going to give him the ball in Sacramento and they're going to ride with it. And, Wagler is going to play, but they still have Darius Garland there. Kingston Flemings is going to play because he changes the game with the speed. Burries, to me, and I've stuck with this, outside of Peterson, I think he's the one guy that you put him in and he impacts winning because he can do so many things already at his age. He can defend. He can rebound. He's as good. Flemings might be the fastest guard, but I think Burries is the best in a coast-to-coast game. So he gets a defensive board, he's gone. And he's got excellent speed. Can shoot the ball, made a ton of improvements in his shooting from his high school senior year to his freshman year through Arizona. And here's another thing about Braden Burries. In the high major games, so they probably played 32 high major games, maybe 33. He was a plus 366 in the plus-minus game, minus 18 when he was off the floor. And that's the team that played in the Final Four. And that's Wagler was really high, too. Wagler was in the high 200s of when he was in the game. And so I think those numbers really matter when you're looking at who impacts winning, especially when you take the best games, the high major games, not the guarantee games. But Braden Burries, I've never heard of anything like that. I mean, that was incredible.
No, those are great stats right there, to say the least. Tom Crean joins us. I did also want to ask you this. So I know Dusty May really well, and I know his goal was always the NBA. So now he's in Dallas. I know Riley had spent a lot of time in Dallas most recently now, and he's in Orlando. But does Dusty's movement after winning a national title at Michigan and having just all these resources, does that tell anything to you other than Dusty just had a goal of being an NBA coach? Is there any other way, I guess, Tom, to read into this about the college game when you leave like that after a national title?
No, I think too many people are reading into the college part of it and blaming the college game. And you just said it. I mean, Dusty's got incredible resources. They'd have been sitting somewhere in the $25 million range in the NIL this year. I mean, they were still recruiting when he took the job. He's got an enormous contract and well-earned. And he had safety inside of that contract. You're coming off a national championship. You just had a great recruiting class. Yes, the game is harder. Yes, you're dealing with agents, but I'd always look at it this way. Okay, try doing this when so many people were cheating. And you weren't, and you had to deal with all those types of things. There's always something that's going to be a challenge in coaching. There's a challenge in every part of life. And I get that it's harder now because players can up and leave, and the agents want this, and you don't know what kind of team you're going to have, right? Because you got it changing all the time. But here's at the end of the day, it's the Dallas Mavericks. And most coaches that have left college have not left for jobs as good and as lucrative with a player like Cooper Flagg in it as Dusty May just did going to the Dallas Mavericks. I think if you looked around and you would have made that job there for some of the other top college coaches in the game, all right, maybe not some of the older ones per se, but some of the younger guys in the country, and you made that job available to them, they'd have been gone too. Now, would they leave for a team that's a perennial 15-win team? Would he have left for that? Maybe not. He doesn't have to. But if your goal is the NBA and you get a job like the Dallas Mavericks to come around, you can't sit and say, man, yeah, I'll try to get this in 3 years. Like, because the Dallas Mavericks ain't coming around very often. So, you know, there's just certain teams. It's like the Spurs. It's like OKC. It's like the Lakers. It's like the Knicks. I mean, those jobs, yeah, they may open up from time to time, but those are marquee Dallas Cowboy, Green Bay Packer, New York Yankee, Boston Red Sox type of jobs, and you got to grab them when they're there.
Tom Crean's joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So a team you have covered a lot. Minnesota made a major deal, bringing in LaMelo Ball, which has been reported, I should say. Do you like that deal? Because you coached up Anthony Edwards. You know him very well. Is that what is necessary for Minnesota to get to the highest of levels right there, the acquisition of LaMelo Ball?
Well, they had to make some changes because a year ago they were in the Western Conference Finals. This year they're not, and certainly Anthony had some injury which affected that. But when you look at what OKC and San Antonio is doing, there's no way you can stand pat. You can't even remotely stand pat. And so it's the same thing in the East. Boston Celtics are going to likely make a move. The Pistons are trying to make more moves because the Knicks hit it, right? They figured it out. So when you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, even if there's some risk involved, you've got to bank on the fact that risk is not nearly as great as the reward if we tap into this. And the most important thing for Anthony Edwards was to be able to play in more space, not be double teamed without effect every time he comes across half court. You're not doubling Anthony Edwards and not pay for it now with LaMelo Ball in the lineup and Jaden McDaniels. And that's what people forget, too. Jaden McDaniels is on the cusp, and I think he's 25 years of age. He's on the cusp of being a superstar, right? And I think now that helps intensify that. Is there some risk? Absolutely. This was the most games he's played. He played 72 this past year. Does he take some wild, atrocious shots? Yes. I don't think that's going to happen as much when you're playing with a player the level of Anthony Edwards, because Anthony has smelled what winning looks like at the highest level. And when you're that close and then you don't get back the next year and you know you're being judged on that now, okay, you're going to come in and LaMelo's never played with a guy like that. And Anthony Edwards is in a place now where he's not only a great player and not only recognized as a great player, but now he's got to be recognized as a great leader. And if there's one message that he's hearing 90% of the time from me in our conversations, whether it's today, last night, any other day, it's that, right? Get on that all-defensive, be an all-defensive player and be one of the absolute best leaders in the NBA. What's that mean? That you set the example, you set the standard, you're holding yourself accountable, and when you hold yourself accountable, you can hold the other guys responsible. And I think that's where they're at now, because he's already felt what it's like to be blamed for losing at a young age. And Chet Holmgren's going to be better for this. He's being blamed nationally for losing because of what happened in Game 7, right? And then De'Aaron Fox went through it. People are always looking for who they're going to blame. Who do we blame? Not just why did it happen, who do we blame? Well, when you go through that, you know, whether you're a coach or a player, you look at the world differently. And now you know you've got to have a lot more responsibility on how this is going to get done, and you've smelled that winning, like I said, and you'll take those risks. So I think it's a good one. That kid is so ultra-talented. You could arguably say he's the second-best ball handler in the NBA behind Kyrie Irving. He can get by anybody in the NBA. He can make shots. He's got great range. He can pass the ball. He's just got to take better shots and be a better defender. And I think there's a chance that's going to happen there.
Hey, Tom, do you think Trey Kaufman-Renn sticks in Minnesota? Why or why not, I guess, in this case, in your estimation?
I think he's a product of Matt's system, and he did a great job for Matt, and he made improvements. He's outstanding in that pick and roll game. He's got tremendous footwork. He's got the push shot. He can score in the post. He's tremendous over the left shoulder. I think they're a really good really good development program. And Johan Berenger was with them last year, and I think he is going to be a big factor in Minnesota this year. So I think their development. Do I think he'll spend a lot of time in the G League? Yeah, I think he will. But I don't think that's a bad thing in Minnesota because they're a good development program. But absolutely, I think he'll carve out a very good NBA career. It'll probably just take just a little bit longer to get there. But when you talk about a winner, a guy that's been extremely well coached, a guy that's a product of playing with other good guards and just got better every year, I think absolutely he will.
So how's Riley like in Orlando?
Well, he's been there almost 2 weeks, and he's excited. They're working away, and it's just awesome. He just turned 27 a couple of months ago, and now he's a full assistant in the NBA. It's just awesome. And my wife and myself actually are extra happy because he's a little over 2 hours from us, where we live in Sarasota. But he's worked hard. He took advantage of every responsibility they gave him, every opportunity they gave him, and he's got a great relationship with Sean Sweeney, and we couldn't be prouder of him, man. I mean, he's doing a really good job. It's Bloomington North and Bloomington should be very proud of Riley Crean. I know that.
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm a big fan of Bloomington and a big fan of Bloomington North. There's no doubt about that. I think about it this way, and I was going to ask you, does he want to? Is his goal to become a head coach? At what level might that be? What's he looking for here? What would he like to do first on his list, I guess, in accomplishments and goals?
Oh, I think he wants to be a head coach someday. Yeah, absolutely. But he loves the NBA. I don't think he has a lot of love for college. You know, he did that with me for 3 years at Georgia. And, I mean, I think he loves the game so much, which is a huge thing. But he loves being on the court with those guys. He's been immersed in it. He's got incredible work ethic, and he knows that that's a path. You know, going in the video room. Last year he was the head video coordinator for the Mavericks. That's a huge path to become a successful coach in the NBA because you know every job. You start at the bottom, you learn, you grow, you're asked to do numerous things, and you learn the game at such a he blows me. I mean, literally, this has been for a couple of years now, but he'll send me a video or a scouting report that he's done or an edit that he's made, or we'll talk basketball. And sometimes I can't. Sometimes I'm not sophisticated enough to talk to him. I don't think. He is so. I'm serious. He is so advanced at what he's learned over 4 years in the NBA. It just blows me away. And I'm so proud of him because he's always had. You know, he's always been creative and an original thinker, but he's learned so much about the game. And every time I hear from somebody how he taught this or what he did in this drill or they saw him teaching this or that, I feel great because I think he's gaining a ton of confidence. And now he's probably he might be the youngest assistant in the NBA. And so with that comes a lot of responsibility. You know, you've got to keep growing and getting better every day, but he's in a great environment to do that. And being with Sean Sweeney is awesome for him.
Well, Tom, I love talking to and being around people that love basketball. And that makes me very happy right there. And I know that he's growing up in a coaching family, but you have to have that desire and that want to. And when he starts speaking a different language than you, that's how you know, man, you hit the right mark and then some right there, don't you?
Absolutely. And I'm learning from him, which is awesome. Like, I study the game nonstop. I'd like to think I can carry a conversation with anybody in basketball, but when I listen to him and when he sees the game through and I see it differently, but he sees it even through a different lens now. And that, to me, is so awesome. And it's not only that he sees it, but he's getting the opportunity to teach it. Jason Kidd was so good for him. He was doing full scouts by the end of the year where he was doing the walkthrough on the day of the game. He had numerous times that he was doing film before the game, but he started doing scouting report walkthroughs during on the day of the game and then doing film that night. They gave him so much opportunity. And I think, you know, the way I look back at it, you don't give people opportunities in coaching on your staff if they can't do it. So Jason Kidd is a high-level winner. He wouldn't have been given that to Riley out of the goodness of his heart. He's given it to him because he can do it and because he trusted him to get it done right. And so that feels great. I'm proud of what he did there for 4 years, and now he's in a different not a totally different role, different title, but I mean, he's got a great relationship with Sean Sweeney, which is fantastic because he's been a huge, huge part of his coaching development. He's a mentor to him, and now they're in Orlando together. So it's just awesome to see it.
That is well done. The pride of Bloomington North High School right there.
Yeah, we got Terry Stott from Bloomington North, John Wertheim.
Oh,
Wertheim. Yeah.
Well,
Go
go
ahead.
back. We go back to Pat. Like, I played. I remember playing in a gym, the old university gym, which is now the Bloomington Hospital, against Pat and Tyrone Morris and Garrick Devane. There's There's some great names going all the way back in the day from Bloomington North, Tom.
No, absolutely. No, I absolutely. We'd go into that school and we'd see that they'd have those plaques, that little wall of fame they'd have. And he was actually the first player drafted in MLB out of high school at Bloomington North. And it was late. It was really late, 35th round. So he didn't go, obviously, and he went to IMG Academy when we left Indiana. He was going to Indiana, but he left it. But I'm proud of him, man, because it was not as much as we loved Bloomington and coaching at Indiana. There were days it wasn't so much fun for my family. And they all got tougher from that, and that's what I love about Riley. He's got a huge level of toughness. He's got a lot of my wife Joni in him. He's got a lot of Harbaugh in him, and I mean he's doing it. He's a little quieter. He's not quite as frantic. He's not frantic at all like I would get. He's not high strung like that, but that kid is smart and tough.
Oh, the different language speaking is awesome. Tom, you're fantastic always here. Thank you very much for the time today. We will do it again over the course of the summer when we find out what some of the teams are doing. I appreciate you.
Let me know. Have a great week.
Thank you. Tom Crean's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. That was really good right there. Tom Crean. Quick break. We'll come back. Union Jack Pub. We are in Broad Ripple with Michelob Ultra. Our friends from Zinc are here. The kicking game and soccer. This is the hub of soccer right here for World Cup. Jay's the owner. He's going to join us on the other side. Sit tight. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Hey, John for the District Tap. You got two locations, Clearwater Crossing, downtown Indy. We were there yesterday. Michael, outstanding time. Thank you very much for that. Damn good food, happy hour specials, live music on the weekends, too. Ask about their catering. The destination location, downtown Indy, is the District Tap. And find it on the north side as well, Clearwater Crossing. And a shout-out to Sammy at the District Tap. If you're on the north side, ask for Sammy and tell Sammy that we sent you. TheDistrictTap.com today for more info. What a terrific idea. If you want your real growing hair again, it's a phone call away, 317-522-2995. JMV for WeGrowHairIndy.com. Inspiration with Darren Andrews. Your real growing hair can happen if you want that option today, 317-522-2995. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Fill in the blank with one word, blank nuts.
These.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tom Crean was awesome. That podcast right there at 1075thefan.com. Hey, Caleb, did I hear this? Bobby Marks of ESPN on tomorrow, too?
Yes, 4:30 tomorrow, Bobby Marks.
Yeah, did you just give me some Eric B. and Rakim right there, too, that I just walked right over?
You did just step all over that.
Oh,
yeah.
I just stepped all over Eric B. and Rakim. Thank you for the honking right there, everybody, on Broad Ripple Avenue. Bobby Marks of ESPN joins us tomorrow. I'm going to give you Ray's number, so, Caleb, maybe we get Trace Jackson Davis on the show coming up tomorrow as well. We're in studio, unfortunately, tomorrow because I love being out. Union Jack Pub. We are in Broad Ripple with Michelob Ultra. We've got the Zinc friends here with the kicking game and stuff to give away, and Ecuador just goes up 2-1 in the 77th minute in Group E of the World Cup. And Jay is the owner of the Union Jack Pub, which he knows soccer. That is a big damn deal right there, Jay.
Well, that's real fun for them.
Yeah.
You can see them just losing their minds.
That is a big deal.
I see you've got a hydration break working now.
I've had a multi-hydration break today, yes. So I'm feeling good. I love the fact, and I know Zink knows this, I love Michelob Ultra. So the fact that they're the spearhead of all this is awesome for me.
We just move buckets and pitchers, and
Yes.
it just flies out during the U.S. matches here. Michelob Ultra has been, I think, a proud supporter of U.S. soccer. And
I'm a big-time low-cal beer fan. That's exactly what it is. I dig it.
Cool.
I do dig it. How's everything going here for the World Cup?
World Cup has been great.
You guys are the soccer epicenter anyway, but even more so magnified now.
Yeah, this has been fantastic for us. It's just so many different nationalities, so many different demographics coming together. We've got obviously a huge U.S. contingent that comes in, but then just so many other nationalities. You'll see some orange here for some Dutch supporters.
Well, we've got some from Germany supporters inside.
You've got Germans in there, and Haitians. We've seen a lot of Africans come out here. There's just a lot of Mexican support. It's been great, really, just getting everyone together from all different walks of life.
What have you seen with the Americans doing something in World Cup play they've never done in soccer? What's been the reaction with fans here?
I think there's starting to be a groundswell of belief. I think there was a lot of, I don't want to say doubt, but there was looks of curiosity at what Pochettino was doing, and I think he was doing a lot of discovery player personnel-wise and trying a lot of different combinations. And now I think I was out at the friendly out in Chicago against Germany, and to see what they did there, they didn't win, but they really looked formidable there. And I think it was the first time that people really U.S. fans, American Outlaws and supporters really started to think maybe this team can really do something. And then the last two matches, the results have been just really hard to argue with.
Hey, you know what, Jay, I put it this way, too. Jay's the owner of Union Jack Pub. We're with Michelob Ultra and Zinc here. We are in Broad Ripple today. I'd love to see. I want to hang out a little bit afterwards, too. Of course, you've got Team USA coming up later on tonight. We've got a couple of matches that are in progress right now. One is Ecuador 2-1 over Germany in the 80th minute, so that's coming down the stretch. Ivory Coast 2, Curacao nothing in the 80th minute there. Japan, Sweden, Tunisia, Netherlands at 7, and you have Paraguay and Australia and Turkey and the Americans tonight coming up at 10 o'clock. And obviously you can watch it right here, have Michelob Ultras and hang out here at Union Jack Pub. But I've been to this before, Jay. You're a big-time soccer guy, and this is how I believe you make the connection with the fans that are either on the fringe or off the fringe and outside the bubble, is the way that they play offensively. The way that they go at it, the way that they attack. It's fast-paced. They score goals. It is incredibly exciting. There's no sitting back. They go at it. That's how Americans, with American sports, basketball, and in football, that's how they like their sports. That's how they like their teams. I think that's rubbing off soccer-wise on Americans because that's the style of play that we most enjoy here.
It's fun to watch. It's a really distinct brand of soccer that I think the plodding days of old, or people parking the bus and really, just playing to eke out a point. that just doesn't resonate with our society. And this is a really great product to watch. This
I've
American
described it
team.
as attacking. It's like Christian Pulisic when he's playing. He's the attacker. They attack.
Right.
And
They're going. They
continuously attack.
They are trying to score goals. They are. It's not a sit back and wait and try to get you on the counter. It's a high press, and they are looking to turn you over and make something happen.
All right, Jay from the Union Jack Pub, give us a little storyline on tonight and then the rest of the way. And looking further down the road with the knockout stage, too.
Well, tonight I've said this is kind of a big day. We've got you here, and then right as you're kicking off or going off the air, we've got some live music out in the back tent.
Oh, you got a tent back there, too?
Yeah, so we've got a full tent
I'm going to have to go
there.
mingle.
Yeah.
I'm a good mingler.
I'm hoping that the tent gets activated here as people gradually get off work. I have a Michelob Ultra or two, and listen to Scott Gould playing some music back there, and then we'll have the other matches on, the 7 o'clock matches, and then that'll go into a tent party back there for the U.S. watch. A glow, we're having glow bracelets, glow sticks, that kind of stuff. Trying to drive a little excitement there since there's not a lot on the line tonight. But then we're going to Wednesday. It's Wednesday 8 o'clock match, I believe, is already on the books for the U.S. for winning they've already booked their ticket. They've won their group. So mark July 1st, circle that on your calendars. That'll be the first of the knockout rounds. And if they're fortunate enough to win there, then they're back at it on the 6th, I believe, Monday.
How are things going in Broad Ripple for you?
Broad Ripple's all right. I feel like there's some positive momentum.
We have evolved together here because we went through not so great stages with you.
Right.
And then now increasingly better stages.
And I don't know if you ever run across Jake in studio or not, if your paths
Yeah,
cross.
he comes here all the time. He talks you up all the time.
He's got a good pulse on the village, and he's got a real vested interest. He's been around this part for a long time. Broad Ripple has got a lot of positive momentum. There's some new businesses moving in. There's Love Broad Ripple.
I saw Steve talk it up. Yeah, we talked it up yesterday, and this is what I love. This is what happens downtown, and you guys are all the same here in Broad Ripple. You root for one another. You root for this being vibrant and exciting and fun once again, and I have that great deal of because that's exactly what the owners do downtown too.
Well, then I'll give you Michael Cranfield. I know you just talked to him yesterday. So he's next door to us with Cholita also, and they're a great local taco shop. Do really nice stuff there, and really there's a lot of hidden gems. I mean, I always tell people to go back to Rusted Moon. Back in the back, there's a lot of great boutique shopping. I think people just focus on just the bars on the Strip, and now some of the bars on the Strips are kind of going away a little bit, but there's still so much character and fabric to this village that really should be explored.
There's plenty of time for an evolution, again, for this place too, because I mean there's a lot of an enjoyable space that's open right now. It just, again, takes a little bit of time to get it back. But you and I both hung out here on the day before I did this show throughout this Strip, and we have incredible memories of that, don't we?
Yeah, the memories, no one can take those away, right?
No, you can't. All right, tell everybody about tonight and the weekend and the rest.
Tonight we got live music after you go off the air, and then we're going to have the USA watch party, and, of course, we're going to be watching the matches before then, the Netherlands and Japan, and then we're going to glow it up with the USA tonight. They have already won their group. We're going to see them again July 1st. I believe that's an 8 p.m. kick for the first round of the knockout match. This place is going to be wall-to-wall. We got a tent out back so we can accommodate everyone. It's an all-ages tent, so love to bring your family out.
Well, and I want to make sure everybody knows that because I don't know if they do, that you got an all-ages area for everybody.
Yeah, so it's doesn't matter how young or old you are, you're welcome here, and we will we want you to be a part of this excitement, this atmosphere.
All right, what's most popular on the menu right now before I close it out with you here?
Before Michelob Ultra?
Yeah.
Or aside from Michelob
obviously,
Ultra?
Michelob Ultra is the most popular food-wise.
Food-wise, boy, the pizzas are always the deep dish. This was the original deep dish in Indianapolis here. People love that, and it's a little warmer out these days, so you can go to the thin crust there. But, man, our sandwiches you can't argue with. The breaded tenderloin, the fish and chips, nod to Britain back there. But, yeah, our food is fantastic, and I would just say you can't go wrong with anything, really, on our menu.
Well done, brother. I love being out here. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having
Jay. And Jake shouted you out a number of times.
Oh, great.
A little bit earlier, too, because I know he and Shannon both come here often. So.
Has he ever done the plane thing with you?
I don't think so.
He'll watch it. He'll see a plane fly.
And he'll tell you where it's coming from?
Yeah, and he's got an app or something.
Yeah.
And they take guesses.
Well, it's funny because I do that where I am down in Bargersville, outside of Bargersville, because they always land. And we find out, where we do the same thing here, too. That's where they come, like, twisting through here, too.
Right.
We do the same thing, so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the plane game's pretty fun.
Yeah.
You can normally guess. It's not that wide of a variety of spots where they're going or where they're coming from, but it's always kind of interesting.
Maybe if you're a seasoned vet at the plane game.
Well, we try to guess when they're a little bit higher at a different level where they're going.
Right.
So we always kind of have a game on where we think they're going.
Yeah.
So that's a good game, though.
Yeah.
Jay, I appreciate you, pal.
I appreciate it, JMV. Thanks for coming out here.
Jay is the owner of the Union Jack Pub. We are in Broad Ripple. Thank you, Jay, very much. Michelob Ultra brings us to you. We'll come back from a final time. And we'll let Caleb jump on here and yak it up a little bit. I mentioned tomorrow's show, Bobby Marks of ESPN is going to be a part of it. Pat Sullivan Hardware and Garden with hashtag AskPat is also tomorrow as well. And with T. Meyer in the house, we know that expectations have been met and then some when he is here with us as well. AAA Membership Lounge, YouTube Live. Hey, Caleb, be careful. Todd's here right now. Be careful what you say, okay,
boy.
buddy? Be careful. Toe the line back there, Pally. Do that. Quick break. We'll come back. Caleb and I on the other side, and we'll close this thing out in a very busy show from Broad Ripple at Union Jack Pub with Michelob Ultra today. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John, for Big Red Liquors, powers the JMV Takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. Seriously, we're going to have another blast. 19 new locations throughout Indianapolis to serve, too. Great deals on the Superior Light Beer. Right behind me, Zinc has Michelob Ultra. You're going to find great deals at Big Red Liquors, not just for the present, but for the weekend as well. If you want to feel good about a great low-calorie beer, Michelob Ultra is it. Bud and Bud Light products as well across the board. You're going to find it at great deals for the weekend or the inbound at Big Red Liquors. And it also powers the JMV Takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. To find out about that and more and the speakeasy deals, that's BigRedLiquors.com. So you're thinking about losing the weight, Premier Weight Loss at the two Indy area locations. JMV here for Premier Weight Loss at PWLindy.com. GLP-1 injections. You can get started right now. And you can be looking good, feeling better, being more healthy by the time August rolls around. It takes a lot of work from you, but they're going to get you started with those injections weekly with Premier Weight Loss. That's Thomas and Samantha and Lauren that will help you out. You're goal-oriented all the way with Premier Weight Loss. Plus, you're asking about the cosmetic therapies that they have, including electronic. You've got the toning mechanisms that they have for you, Botox and skin tightening, all at Premier Weight Loss, the 2 Indy area locations. Hey, if you want to get started on your weight loss journey today, ask me anytime. I'll explain my protocol. I'll give you my dynamic, that menu to work with, and then you can get started on your very own journey. That's PWLND. Tell them I sent you today.com. You may not have known they're still celebrating Father's Day, as well they should. Until the 28th, in fact, at Sundown Gardens and Miss M's Home and Garden, you'll save 20% on premium American-made Brio wood-burning fire pits. Engineered virtually smokeless experience is what you're going to get. You know Dad would love that. I know this dad would love a Brio, too. Plus 20% off patio furniture in stock or special order and 20% off herbaceous perennials. Dad, the celebration continues through the 28th of June with all of these great specials at Sundown Gardens in Westfield, 186 in Spring Mill Road, Miss M's Home and Garden, State Road 135 just south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
The Ride with JMV.
Drivers, start your engines.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back, Broad Ripple, Union Jack Pub, Michelob Ultra. I love all the people with me today. We're going to see you later on tonight for, again, Team USA, U.S. men's national team, and their third of the group stage games. They're going to match up with Turkey later on tonight with well, really the format already set for them. That's a 10 o'clock start later on this evening. Watch all the matches, including Ecuador and Germany, 2-1 right now as they're playing extra time and the 93rd minute. This would be major right here. Ecuador's good, but this would be major with a win over Germany. Caleb is back in the studio. Caleb, I don't know how much time we have left. You know you've been outstanding this week, pal. Thank you.
My man, it's always fun, listen to these shows when you're on the road like this, but then to actually produce one of these and just hear the good nature, is
it chaotic for you? Is it chaotic back there when I'm on the road?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a few more things you got to think about, but dude, it's a great time. Just hearing everybody. And I thought today, I texted you, Tom Crean was awesome. I love that guy.
He was awesome.
So It was a lot of fun, man.
I got to rest a lot, too, because he adds so much dialogue for the show.
Dude.
And he knows so much more than me. I could just, sit back and drink Michelob Ultra and relax and let him go to work on that.
That's the way you'd prefer it, right? I mean, come on now.
There's no question about that. But, no, Tom Crean was great. Chad Buchanan, Pacers general manager earlier, outstanding as well. And I should mention Alyssa Thomas gets that one-game suspension upgraded to a flagrant 2, which should have been called actually in the game last night. But she's going to miss a game for the Phoenix Mercury. Coming up, that news was a little bit earlier today. Bobby Marks tomorrow. Pat Sullivan tomorrow. I'm going to go have some more Michelob Ultra. Great job from you, Caleb. Thank you very much. Yes, we are at Union Jack Pub in Broad Ripple with Michelob Ultra at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.